a billionaire CEO, who overnight liquidates everything to buy a decommissioned aircraft carrier, all because of a cyber energy leak. The mecha apocalypse is coming. Everyone will see their most valuable machinery undergo metamorphosis, from the lowest grade flashy supercars to heavy-duty S-class haulers, or even fighter jets turning into mechs. And all flora and fauna are also mutating, from a tiny ant to a deep-sea blue whale. Even those ancient trees have become predatory cyber beasts that attack everything in sight. In my past life, though I was a billionaire, my obsession with that Xiao Mi 7 Ultra left me with a low combat power mech. I was eventually backstabbed, dying in the jaws of a beast. Now, returning 3 days before the apocalypse, I am immediately hunting for heavy industrial assets. My first thought was heavy tanks, but they are clunky and one-dimensional, so I crossed them out. Next were fighter jets. Fast and versatile, sure, but their defense is weak. Scratch those off the list too. While I was at a complete loss, a bold idea struck me. I quickly pulled out my phone and dialed 7 times. Uncle Zhang, I have a request. How can I get my hands on an aircraft carrier? A carrier group has massive scale and the most powerful fighter squadrons. That is worlds apart from a lone jet or tank. A carrier group, even before cybermorphing, represents the entire military might of a small nation. Just imagine how insane it will be once it morphs. Zhang Shan frowned. Chen, do you hear yourself? You know what you are asking for. An aircraft carrier is not something you just buy with cash. I know exactly what I am doing, but I clearly remember. Back in my previous life, the Russians had a major crisis with their neighbors, stretched by the conflict, and facing a military funding shortage. They were forced to put their nuclear-powered carrier up for a public auction. At that time, wealthy businessmen and nations worldwide were all jockeying for position. Zhang Shan was one of them. I spoke calmly. Uncle Zhang, I heard the Russians might be holding an auction soon. They have got a carrier, right? Can I tag along with you? After some back and forth, Zhang Shan finally agreed. Hanging up the phone, I contacted my secretary, Chen Ru. Chen Ru, check this. What is our total available cash flow right now? On the other end, Chen Ru started typing away. I will have a report for you in about 3 minutes. Sep. Lin Chen, we have about 10 billion in liquid assets left. I frowned. 10 billion sounds like a lot, but a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier goes for at least 80 billion. Chen Ru's mouth twitched. She sensed trouble. Even though you inherited a massive empire, that is still a lot of money to burn. Besides, our arch-rival, the Nitian Corp, has been making trouble for us. The mere mention of Nitian Corp gives me a headache. That is a company from over in Japan. They were always at odds with my old man. In my past life, it was them, using internal moles to screw me over. Thinking of that, I made a silent vow. Just wait until the cybermorphing starts. Let us kick things off by trashing their company's reputation. Just let them be for now. I have got bigger fish to fry. Bring over every car I have got in storage. I will be waiting at Tianhua Corp. Before Chen Ru could even process that, I hung up. After arriving at the underground parking lot, gazing at the Xiaomi SU7 Ultra in front of me, I could not help but a sigh. A single nuclear-powered carrier needs at least $1 billion in funding to even start. The only way is to sell off my luxury cars and the company. The only one capable of acquiring Shensha Group is Tianhua Corp. Tianhua Corp has a market cap in the trillions, ranking in the world's top 50. After the cyber apocalypse hit, they formed an army of mechanical vehicles to fight off those invading monsters. In this post-apocalyptic era, he is one of the few I respect. The old man running that company also had some history with my father. Inside a lavish conference room at Tianhua Corp, upon hearing I wanted to sell Shensha Group, Chairman Chen Long looked absolutely stunned. Are you sure you want to sell Shensha Group to me? I am sure, Chairman Chen. You should know, I have never been one for these corporate power struggles. With these recent conflicts with the Ni Tian company, I just do not have the stomach for a fight anymore. So I figured I would just unload the company and head back home to live out my days in peace. Chen Long nodded slowly. Since you have put it that way, I have no reason to refuse. The deal was eventually finalized at 150 billion. Just as I stepped out of the Tianhua office building, I saw Chen Ru, who had been waiting for a long time. Sep, are you really selling Shensha Group? Chen Ru looked at me with a hint of disappointment. I casually tossed a set of car keys to her. Those are the keys to my Rolls-Royce. Once I hand them over, I am no longer your boss. Without a backward glance, I walked away, leaving Chen Ru standing there, completely bewildered. In my previous life, she had helped me out during the apocalypse. That is why I gave her that Rolls-Royce. After the cyber transformation, that Rolls-Royce actually has decent combat stats. It should be enough to keep her alive. The second day, I accompanied Zhang Shan to the auction site run by Mao Zi. The host for this auction was a female officer from Mao Zi. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Following her crisp opening line, the auction hall fell silent. The female officer on stage continued, "Welcome to our giant bear auction. I trust you all know the main highlight of today's event. No point in stalling. Let us dive straight into the auction." As her voice trailed off, on the screen behind her, an image of a pitch-black fighter jet appeared. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is a prototype S-35. Though it is an older model, its Mach 2 speed and stealth capabilities are still top-notch. The starting bid for this S-35 is 8,000,000 USD. Bids started flying in from rich merchants immediately. It was eventually snapped up for 180 million United States dollars. Next up is a T-90 main battle tank, a third-generation tank, developed by the old guard last century. This thing is much easier to operate than a fighter jet, so it fetched 3 times the price. The auction continued. Everything above was just an appetizer for today. The real deal is coming up next. As she spoke, the screen shifts again. An image of a massive aircraft carrier slowly fades in. Sitting in the audience, I can hardly contain my excitement. This is exactly what I have been waiting for. The female officer on stage continues the introduction. "This is our first nuclear-powered carrier. As a first-generation prototype, it might look a bit rough, but we have performed countless upgrades since then. Its firepower is on par with any modern aircraft carrier. It comes with 34th-generation jet fighters, along with 20 T-90 tanks, and is equipped with high-level anti-air armor-piercing shells. The starting bid is 80 billion. No sooner had she finished speaking than the whole room erupted in murmurs, but many started bidding in increments, driving the price up by 1 billion at a time. Suddenly, a middle-aged man in the corner interrupts. I turn my head toward him. It is Zisao from the Tianhua Corp. Looking at him, I frown slightly. In my past life, he was the one representing them to buy the carrier, Tianhua Corp, and their shady dealings. So, I offer 100 billion for the carrier, letting him buy it in his own name. There is no way I am letting those guys buy this ship. I raise my paddle directly. At a price of 120 billion, I kill their chances of winning the bid. After the auction ends, I head straight back to the shipyard here. The cyber apocalypse is coming. The most important things, besides water and food, are the incredibly precious energy sources. So, I spend another 71 billion to purchase solid fuel, food, and fresh water. At the same time, I have the carrier repainted, changing it from its original black and white to a striking red. I also had a complete overhaul of the onboard facilities, making it look good as new. When the final day hits 23:59, I stand on the deck of the carrier, waiting silently for the apocalypse to arrive. As the shipyard bell begins to toll, the cyber apocalypse is here. The pitch-black sky is suddenly illuminated. Up in the heavens, blinding, dazzling fireballs appear everywhere. They are flowing with color, shimmering with shifting complex hues. People who have not gone to sleep yet think it is a meteor shower. They pull out their phones to record it, but I know better. These are beams of cyber energy. They strike the ground at immense speeds. Some land in the desolate wilderness. Others land in the hearts of the cities. Starting from the impact zones, they emit ripples of iridescent light. These light waves are pure cyber energy. A little dog is the first to be irradiated by the energy. Its body suddenly expands rapidly, and it is slowly covered in metal, eventually evolving into a giant mechanical beast. Some humans hit by the radiation also feel changes happening inside them. They begin to merge with their most treasured mechanical possessions, finally transforming into various sizes of cyber soldiers. These are the cyber beings, but because this happened so suddenly, these cyber beings scramble in panic. Near the shipyard, a beam of cyber energy strikes down as well. I gaze up at the sky, stretching my arms out, feeling the radiation of the energy beam. Slowly, my own body begins to reconstruct. The ground beneath me shakes violently. When I open my eyes again, I am looking down from several hundred meters in the air. The aircraft carrier below me has disappeared, replaced by my own colossal mecha frame, a crimson blade. It makes me feel like a violent red storm in the Pacific, only several times more massive. Success, I whispered to myself. Just then, the ground beneath me started to tremble. Giant waves surged on the nearby sea surface. Taking a closer look, a massive cyber creature was swimming by. It looked about 80 to 90 meters long, roughly the size of a yacht. It seemed to have caught the scent of humans in the shipyard, and was now charging towards here at high speed. Perfect timing. Let us test my strength using you. I gave a faint smile, and began moving my arms. As the giant creature approached me, without a word, I threw a punch. Before even seeing clearly what it was, I had smashed the creature into a pile of scrap metal. I slowly walked into the wreckage, bent down and searched through the seawater. Soon, a white crystal appeared in my hand. This is the creature's energy core, capable of recharging mecha units. I tossed the thing into my energy storage bay. At that moment, a mechanical voice suddenly echoed in my mind. Sufficient energy source detected. Mecha upgrade system activated. Does the host wish to initiate the mecha upgrade system? This is the classic must-have cheat in any web novel. With this, it is basically declared that I am the protagonist of this apocalypse. Suppressing my excitement, I slowly spoke up. Introduce your capabilities. This system is named the Supreme Mecha System, designed solely to build the ultimate peerless mecha for the host. When obtaining an energy core, the system capabilities are as follows. There is a 1% chance to acquire a unique skill. Ability 2. Once a certain amount of energy is accumulated, the mecha can be upgraded. Seeing the skill description instantly got me fired up. I could not wait to get my hands on more energy cores. But before that, I would better use the current energy to upgrade my mecha. After all, in my mecha storage bay, there is tons of energy stored up. If I accidentally broke an energy pod during a fight, I would essentially be burning myself to death. With that thought, I pulled up the mecha upgrade interface. A large, translucent purple panel floated in the air. Current stored energy 2,000 tons, along with one A-grade energy core. Upgrade requires 2,000 tons of high-quality energy, or one S-grade energy core. Seeing this, I could not help but sigh. 2,000 tons of energy, actually being comparable to an S-grade energy core. Based on memories from my past life, the grading of mecha energy cores was defined by the World Alliance Group back then. On the third day after the cyber apocalypse broke out, top international leaders formed the World Cyber Alliance. The group's mission was to protect ordinary humanity and drive out the cyber monsters. By the fifth day, they issued a series of regulations and treaties, including the classification of cyber monsters. Among them, E-grade posed the lowest threat. They were mosquitoes, houseflies, and similar creatures that became cybernized. After these creatures became cybernized, they were about the size of a house cat. D-grade evolved from rats, kittens, or puppies. Their size after evolution was equivalent to an average motorcycle. C-grade evolved from some adult cats and dogs, where human pets would retain memories of their owner, yet would indiscriminately attack other people and creatures. B-grade were giant animals and fierce beasts. After their cybernized evolution, their destructive power rivaled heavy weaponry. Humanity's main threat is these cyber-mutated mechs. Up to S-tier, the officials just loosely threw out a classification 7, likely some kind of ancient creatures. Once they undergo mecha mutation, they are far more terrifying than any wild beast. Word is, back when the cyber wave first hit, a lead creature was an S-tier sabertooth. But that is just a legend. In my memories, the only specific one I knew was Tier 1. That was the 5th day of the past life's cyber apocalypse. A Tier 1 cyber lion appeared on the city outskirts. The Alliance had to mobilize dozens of cyber warriors to bring it down. Even Tier 1 had such terrifying power, let alone the S-tier ones. And yet now, I happen to hold a premium energy source comparable to an S-tier core. I excitedly pressed the mecha upgrade button. After a ding, my vision suddenly went black. When I woke up again, I had returned to my human form. While I was baffled, I saw not far away on the sea a massive behemoth standing upright. I reflexively thought it was some kind of monster, but looked closer and I realized that it was my own aircraft carrier mech. At this moment, inside the mech, there came an intermittent sound of mechanical clashing. System, I asked bluntly. The current mecha is currently upgrading. Due to its massive scale, the required time is significant. I get that. What I want to know is why you ejected me. Although cyber warriors can freely switch between mech and human form, usually, once reverted to human, the mech dissipates. But in my current case, it is quite clear that I am physically separated from the mech. This definitely dropped my sense of security. After all, this is not a safe zone. Not to mention the small fries. Even a cyber-mutated ant could take me out. As I was praying to get through this upgrade time, the shipyard behind me let out a piercing screech, followed by a violent tremor from the ground, and the sound of steel crashing against the pavement. Lin Chen turned to look back. He saw a giant cyber-mutated crab scuttling sideways toward him. Damn it, is my luck this rotten? Lin Chen stared at the giant crab, which was the size of a car, rushing over. He was momentarily stunned. He was currently standing on the dock, with nothing but the vast ocean behind him. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Damn. Use your invincible abilities to think of something fast. Watching the speed of the giant mecha crab increasing, Lin Chen, unarmed, was completely helpless. Just at this moment, behind him, a beam of light suddenly flashed. Then a laser swept directly over Lin Chen's head. The laser was incredibly fast. Its target was the charging mecha crab. The instant the laser made contact with the giant crab, the crab was sliced cleanly into two. Its energy core rolled onto the ground. Ding! Your mecha upgrade is complete. As the crab parts scattered, The system's cold mechanical voice echoed once more in Lin Chen's mind. Lin Chen reflexively turned his head to look at his mech. The mech had now transformed entirely, and its size was even more massive. Beyond that, the entire machine's red hue looked more vivid, and both its arms and legs were now bristling with visible weapons. That laser from just now came from it. A laser cannon mounted on its right leg fired. If the original carrier-class mech was a 100-meter-tall Titan, then this current one could be called a massive mobile fortress on the sea. Holy cow! Even though Lin Chen knew this was his own mech, he still felt an inexplicable sense of awe deep down. Or rather than awe, it was more like intimidation. After all, humans have always felt an instinctive fear deep inside towards massive unknown creatures. After swallowing hard, Lin Chen slowly walked over to where the giant crab mech just was, and then picked up the energy core left on the ground. This energy core was neither big nor small, about the size of a mini basketball. Originally, he planned to just toss it directly into the energy storage unit, but he was surprised to find that he could see the basic info of this core. C-grade energy core, dropped by the coastal sea crab mech, can produce controllable giant mechs via the mech synthesis chamber. Mech synthesis chamber. What the heck? Lin Chen was completely baffled. This never-before-heard term left him scratching his head. Ding. The mech synthesis chamber is an independent secondary module, unlocked after upgrading your mech. It can decompose the energy cores of corresponding creatures, restoring them to their raw material state. The resulting mech will be even more powerful than the original, and will possess its own independent consciousness. Of course, you can also enter the cockpit for manual control. The system's explanation was short and sweet. Lin Chen immediately understood the principle of this so-called mech synthesis chamber. Doesn't this mean that he could use this to rebuild the giant mech beasts he took down, and then use them for himself? And most importantly, these rebuilt mechs would be under his control. They would even possess independent consciousness. Lin Chen suddenly had an audacious idea. Kill more giant mech beasts, convert them all, and make them work for him. Building an army of giant mech beasts is not just a pipe dream anymore. Thinking of this, Lin Chen could not help but get excited. However, Lin Chen suddenly thought of one more problem. He asked the system in his head, "System, your tech is pretty op. Does this thing have any usage limits?" After all, in the TV shows he watched, protagonists always have some restrictions. Otherwise, if you were too overpowered from the get-go, how can you even play? There are no usage limits. You just need to prepare the energy core and the required amount of metal to begin the synthesis. None at all. The system's answer blew his expectations away. If that is the case, then this ability is a bit too buggy. You see, the only requirement to acquire an energy core is to defeat a mech beast that holds one, just like the unknown creature shattered in the sea, and the giant crab mech on the shore right now. After they were killed, not only did they drop energy cores, but their body parts were scattered all over the place too. Aren't those parts just metal? If so, as long as he can take out those mech beasts, can't he just put them to good use? Although back in his previous life, killing a mech beast was not that easy. But now, he is piloting a freaking carrier. He just crushed that sea creature with a single punch, and obliterated that giant crab with one laser beam. That has pretty much established his current strength. In other words, the current him is at his peak right from the start. After processing that, he calmed himself down. His next move is to leverage this capability to gather more cyber energy cores and forge a mecha legion to make those who betrayed him pay the price. But before that, he needs to grasp the capabilities of his upgraded mecha. He whispered into his mind, "System, show me the upgraded mecha stat panel." Please wait. A moment later, the interface manifested before his eyes. Supreme Carrier Mecha Unnamed. Base attack, 70,000. Base defense, 70,000. Speed, 1,000. Equipped weapons, 4x Armstrong rotary laser cannons, 20x Armstrong high-yield nuclear missiles, 1x Armstrong supreme plasma cannon. Mecha fabrication bay, capable of crafting mechas using energy cores and metal components. Higher energy core tier, longer fabrication time. Mechas currently in the bay. 6th gen cyber fighter unnamed. Nuclear submarine cyber unit unnamed. 4th gen main battle tank cyber unit unnamed. Features: tier 2 carrier class cyber mecha, equipped with super AI control. The master AI can control the mechas within the bay intelligently. Also, you can use the nanomecha platform on your right wrist to summon and retrieve any mecha. Damn, is this a thesis exam or what? All these specs. Looking at this wall of text, Lin Chen could not help but complain, but he still read every detail without missing a word. More serious than studying for finals. After all, every detail here is incredibly useful. For instance, the mentioned 6th gen fighter, the 4th gen tank, and the nuclear submarine cyber units. These are not just mere accessories bought with the carrier. These are bona fide carrier mechas. Added bonuses from the system upgrade. You have to realize These three encompass the most formidable military might on sea, land, and air. Once these mechas are unleashed, they would be absolute apex predators anywhere. Not to mention he still has this supreme class, epic tier carrier cyber mecha, that is undeniably invincible. Then he noticed the small note at the bottom. Nano mecha. Lin Chen reached out his right arm, spotting the nano mecha platform the system just mentioned. It looks a bit like a small gadget. This thing, Lin Chen had seen it in his previous life. It was the transformation device for the cyber transformers. In his past life, the device was a wristwatch. Press it once, and it summons the mecha. A mysterious piece of tech. However, his current transformation device seems to be paired with 7 AI. This term, Lin Chen is no stranger to it. AI is known as artificial intelligence, mostly referring to code-based instructions. Command the units to proceed according to the directive. Rather than calling it AI, it is more like a massive information bank. So-called AI simply retrieves data from those archives. If the database is wiped or the network is cut, the AI ceases to exist. There is no such thing as an absolute AI. That was Lin Chen's own take. But then, what about this AI provided by the system? He gingerly swiped at the screen on his wrist, found the voice input command field. Hey, what is your name? As Lin Chen finished his question, a response came from the wrist device. Master, I do not have a name. Would you like to assign one to me? The voice was a pleasant, feminine tone, rich and full of emotion. If one were blind, they might actually think a maid with blonde hair and a curvy figure was standing right in front of them. But he was not exactly surprised. After all, it is a system product. It is bound to be high quality, and it is quite obvious. This is a true AI, not the inferior junk produced by current human technology. A name, huh? Lin Chen rubbed his chin deep in thought. When it comes to naming things, he was truly hopeless. He was practically clueless. Back in his previous life, he would agonize for ages just to name a game character, only to ending up with something like Tyrant Warlord or Dark Overlord, all that edgy, cringy stuff. So, even before starting, the naming process had him stumped. How about God? Nah, a bit too cliche. Demon King? No, still way too edgy. Got it. After 2.5 minutes, Lin Chen finally realized, instead of racking his own brain, why not just borrow one from someone else? He waved his hand dismissively. I have decided. From now on, you shall be called Edith, the name of the AI from those glasses that Iron Man left behind for Spider-Man. Lin Chen thought it suited his AI perfectly. Understood. Master, but are you sure you want to name me Edith? I feel that such low-level AI names do not quite fit my stature. He had not expected the AI to actually offer its own opinion, and in her tone it was clear. She was seemingly annoyed. True, naming her after someone else's AI is just like your current girlfriend calling you by her ex's name. Damn it. Fair point. Then let us call you Xing Chen, a name Lin Chen just thought of. This Xing Chen is unique. The Xing star represents the vast universe, while Chen represents himself. So, put together, it means he is the universe. Xing Chen. I really like this name. From now on, I shall be called Xing Chen. Obviously, this name sounds much better than the previous addies. Alright, Xing Chen, listen up. I have got a few questions for you. Go ahead, master. Lin Chen nodded. Let me ask you, how many mechas can you control simultaneously? Or better yet, do you have a combat mode? Combat mode, that is the absolute staple for any sci-fi mecha. Without a combat mode, it is like a man without his manhood. Totally useless. Still not bad. Xing Chen's response left him quite satisfied. Master, I possess the most advanced combat status in the universe, and I am capable of multi-core processing. When the mechas engage in autonomous combat, it will not affect your other commands. Multi-core processing, a term like that, Lin Chen had only heard in some high-tech sci-fi movies. As the name suggests, multi-core processing means that I can execute multiple streams of operations simultaneously, something no existing AI could ever dream of doing, because those so-called ICE, when executing commands, do it in a strictly linear sequence. To start the next task, the previous one must be completely finished. That is their fundamental flaw. Low efficiency, sometimes even slower than manual input. But my multi-core processing perfectly compensates for these shortcomings. For instance, I can execute autonomous combat while simultaneously helping you handle data analysis, battlefield tactics, and even other complex subroutines. It is like how a pro can play League of Legends with their feet, while simultaneously writing an exam with their hands. And judging by the system's smug tone, it implies that in both situations simultaneously, I would still carry the team to challenger rank and ace the entrance exam to top universities. So, regardless of how you put it, an AI with such capabilities is unquestionably the strongest in the world right now. And besides this new AI feature, it also features 3 brand new air, land, sea mechas. Xing Chen, bring out those 3 mechas, let me see. Just like a kid with a new toy. Lin Chen could not wait any longer. I want to see what these three look like, and test their performance. Very well, Master. Deploying now. Hardly had the words left the system's mouth when from the mothership's central hangar, 3 mechas burst out. They dashed toward the dock where Lin Chen stood at incredible speeds. As they descended, Lin Chen felt a massive sense of oppression. This kind of pressure felt just like encountering a blue whale while deep-sea diving. These 3 mechas were colossal, the largest one reaching over 100 meters. The overall color scheme of the 3 was dominated by a striking red. The one that caught his attention first was the massive center unit. It was derived from nuclear-powered submarine technology. The hull is sleek, carrying only torpedo launchers. However, its defense and carrying capacity are light years ahead. Not to mention, it operates freely on land and in the ocean. Aside from the carrier itself, it is the undisputed king of the sea. As for the other 2, one of them looks remarkably compact and nimble. Still, it looks pretty solid. It has an aerodynamic profile, complete with a mysterious tail fin design. Behold the 6th gen cyber mecha. Though it looks compact and sleek, its speed is absolutely top tier. As for that other one, it looks incredibly badass. Sporting a red color scheme, embedded with 5 massive black cannons. Looks like it packs a real punch. That is the 4th gen main battle tank mecha, the absolute king of the ground. While these 3 mechas are not at the same level as the aircraft carrier mecha Lin Chen has, in this world, they are considered top of the line. You see, the rules of this cyber game. Awakened mechas must be personal property, which means, aside from wealthy magnates or specific groups, nobody else can really own fighter jets, tanks, or nuclear submarines, especially within the military. All those weapons belong to the state. This led to a problem. The mechas awakened by military officials were just private cars or commercial machinery. Their combat power could not even match those private sector titans. That is why the beast tide eventually swarmed the cities, leading to Lin Chen's death. It is safe to say, the lack of official military strength was a major factor in his demise. If the beast tide had not breached the city walls back then, how could he have been backstabbed by those scumbags? Lin Chen let out a sigh. He decided to stop dwelling on the past, because the most urgent matter at hand is how to, in the shortest time possible, use this mecha forge to build a mechanized army to fend off the beast tide coming in 7 days. So the first step is to make the most of these 3 mechas in the city where human activity is highest. It will inevitably attract more mecha beasts. A perfect opportunity. That place is the best spot to farm energy cores. Let us get to work. He issued the order directly. Xing Chen, name these 3 Tianqi tank number 1, Shen Ying fighter number 1, and Yuan Long nuclear sub number 1. Then have them head to the nearest city. Primary directive: seize energy cores and collect mecha fragments. Understood, Master. Orders executed. With Xing Chen's confirmation, the 3 mechas before him launched, heading straight for the nearest city. Lin Chen then began to study his own aircraft carrier mecha. But before that, he had to name this mobile fortress. Xing Chen, proceed with the naming. Designation: Ba Tian 0. Master, do you confirm naming this high epic tier carrier as Ba Tian 0? Lin Chen nodded. Yes, the name sounds a bit familiar, but honestly, it fits perfectly. Acknowledged, Master. Your mecha has been renamed to Ba Tian 0. Good. Now then, it is time for us to do something big. Mo City. This is the largest central hub of Maozi State. It is also the area richest in energy resources. So, within an hour of the cyber apocalypse beginning, almost all cyber beasts in the vicinity stormed this city. Fortunately, the combat strength of the Maozi state is not to be underestimated. They are different from Xia. They can personally possess firearms, as well as decommissioned tanks and fighter jets. Therefore, some Maozi cyber warriors who own these weapons, in order to resist the sudden cyber frenzy, spontaneously formed a unified front line, dedicated to protecting the humans within the city, and driving away those cyber beasts. But alas, there are too few strong cyber warriors, and these cyber beasts are numerous. Most of them have mutated into ferocious beasts or even giant bears. Almost all of them are a grade cyber beasts. In an instant, the defense line formed by the warriors was instantly swallowed by these giant beasts. The human line retreated again and again. It looks like they are about to reach the Mo City Center. At this moment, inside the Mo City Command Center, Sector B, we are about to fall here. Requesting backup. A sturdy man in military uniform is speaking anxiously into his walkie-talkie, but after a long wait, a voice finally came through from the other side. This is the rear command, Mo City. We are also under attack by various cyber beasts here, but please rest assured, our reinforcements are rushing over at full speed. You must protect our emperor at all costs. Mo City acknowledged. The man in uniform hung up the phone. Looking out the window, his eyes filled with anxiety. Emperor, you must hold on. As it turns out, an hour ago, the Mauzi Emperor also became a cyber warrior, and he awakened the latest model, the S-35 fighter mecha. So, naturally, the Emperor became the top-tier power of the city, and as the Emperor, he naturally has to be responsible for his country, responsible for his people. That is why he resolutely chose to rush to the front line, because the Emperor himself has superior combat skills. It did not take long before he mastered the mecha body and started fighting against those cyber beasts. At this moment, roughly around the third ring road of Mo City, thick smoke was billowing, high-rise buildings were mostly destroyed, and atop some ruins stood a deep blue mecha with sleek lines, radiating a cold, metallic aesthetic. Under the moonlight, it shone with a dazzling glow. It wielded a giant blade, staring straight ahead. This is the Emperor's Azure One mecha. He is currently blocking these mecha beasts from invading the city. In front of him is a massive cyber bear mecha beast. The level of this mecha beast is approaching S grade. Behind it followed dense swarms of walrus-type mecha. They were only the size of small cars, but they possessed razor-sharp steel teeth, and thick scales covered their bodies. Their eyes were glowing red, although they had an urge to tear humans to shreds. These walrus beasts dared not act rashly. Like human commanders, they obeyed the giant bear mecha before them. Meanwhile, on the Emperor's side, behind him, are nothing but mangled mechs, fallen soldiers, and wrecked tanks. Human remains left exposed among the wreckage. The shattered ground is stained with the reeking scent of blood. The rest are a retreating force of stragglers. Their mechs may be functional, but most are just common household units. Practically zero combat capability. So, the only one currently capable of fighting is the Emperor's Azure One, but it too is hanging by a thread. The series of battles just now have pushed his body to the absolute limit, combined with the mech's dwindling energy reserves. In his current state, he can last at most 3 minutes. If after 3 minutes, the reinforcements still have not arrived, he and his men will all meet their end here. He gripped his long blade tight, ready for a last stand. Suddenly a voice boomed from the front. Human, I admire your toughness. You fit my expectations of a warrior race. But do not push yourself anymore. Just step aside sensibly, and let us pass. That is the smart move for you. As long as you comply, I won't harm you, and I will even spare you. The voice crashed like thunder, deep and savage. And the owner of that voice was a giant bear mech standing before the herd of elephant mechs. It can talk. The Emperor raised an eyebrow, caught momentarily off guard. He knew that these cyber-modified beast mechs would develop their own intelligence, but he never imagined they had already learned human speech. But he is the Emperor for a reason. He quickly regained his composure and replied, though your offer is very tempting, allowing me to survive and ensuring my safety, I cannot do that, because I cannot, for my own selfish sake, abandon my people. After all, the Emperor has seen many storms. Even though he is well past his prime, his resolve remains steadfast, and his spirit is truly admirable. He knew this was his only answer. If he were just an ordinary man, he would naturally choose to cling to life. But he is not just any man now. He is the Emperor. Behind him is his life's honor. Why are you humans always so obsessed with saving face even when you are weak? The bear mech shook its head and casually hauled out one of the elephant mechs from behind it, then violently ripped out its 2 massive tusks. It tossed the mangled remains aside. Human, since you have chosen this path, then I will make your death swift. No sooner had the words been spoken than the bear mech charged at the Emperor with its twin tusks. Its speed reached the extreme. The tusks sliced an elegant arc through the air. Clang! Even as Azure One braced with its best defensive stance, it was still sent flying tens of meters by the sheer impact. The other mechs and soldiers were blown back by the shockwave, stopping only when they crashed into the ruins of buildings. Just as the Emperor, propping up his Azure One, tried to stand, a crisp sound suddenly rang out from the Azure One. The chest of the Azure One was actually cracking open. The mecha giant bear let out a mocking laugh. So fragile, it can't even stand a breeze. It stepped forward with heavy rhythmic strides, heading straight toward Daddy's Azure One. Daddy, the mecha soldiers, who had lost their combat capabilities, could only watch helplessly as the giant bear closed in on the Azure One. But they were completely powerless. Too bad. Since you are humanity's pillar, I will just have to send you off first. It raised its giant claws high into the air, and then it struck down fiercely at the Azure One. Reinforcements. Where are the reinforcements? Why have not they arrived yet? The soldiers were furious, degraded, but they could only seethe with impotent rage. Just at that moment, 3 mechas suddenly flew in from the direction of the Mo City shipyard. They were incredibly fast, dashing right in front of the giant bear. One of them, solid as Mount Tai, landed a heavy punch. The giant bear's body was sent reeling back like a massive tidal wave, its immense frame crushing a large swarm of mechas into scrap metal. Damn, you bastard! The giant bear dragged its robust alloy body to its feet. The sound of metal clashing was piercingly sharp. Get lost! The giant bear scattered all the mechas that were standing in its way, tossing them aside. Its movements and tone were filled with irritation. At the same time, it glanced toward where Daddy was positioned, and in that spot, 3 red mechas had just appeared. Damn it! These bear creatures, they are naturally hot-headed, hostile to any life form outside their own species, especially after being attacked. Their rage hits the breaking point, combined with the viral overdrive. All it wants now is to tear those 3 who defied it into shredded pieces. Fair enough. It went berserk, furious, stomping its massive mechanical body, charging toward the 3 mechas. Its body hit like a high-speed projectile. Not only was it fast, its destructive power was shocking. Everywhere it passed, left deep cratered footprints, and with every step it took, the ground trembled. The scene left everyone present in shock. Daddy, we need to leave. Some mecha warriors scrambled out from the debris, jogging over to Daddy's Azure One. They wanted to help pull the battered Azure One away. I am fine. Daddy shook his head. Help me up. Even though I do not know if these 3 are our reinforcements, we can't just leave like this. We must lend them a hand. Daddy spoke with resolve. He knew, given his current ability, it was impossible to defend Mo City. And he also knew that if those 3 mechas took on the giant bear, the odds were likely against them. After all, his own mecha was there, most advanced 5th generation S-35. Even he had been beaten half to death by that one giant bear. He was skeptical. Can anyone's mech be stronger than his? This is suicide, Emperor. You really should not push yourself like this. Besides, your mech's energy reserves are already critically low. The mech trooper cautiously helped Blue One up, urging him in a worried tone. Energy. The Emperor let out a deep sigh. Our nation is known as an energy superpower. Yet in a moment like this, we have got no power left. It is genuinely laughable. So, Emperor, let us fall back for now. If we stay here, we will just be dead. Wait. It is the only way. Though the Emperor was reluctant, grit alone is not enough to turn the tide. He took one look at the battlefield, where those 3 crimson mechs were evenly matched against that giant mech bear. Just as his soldier said, he would only be a liability here. So he signaled to retreat Blue One, and with his soldiers' support, they headed toward the command center. They had barely taken 2 steps when a thunderous roar erupted behind them. Both of them spun around to look. The scene they witnessed was something they would never forget. They saw Sky One instantly tear the giant bear mech apart, ripping the energy core out of its body along with a spray of electric sparks. Fast, precise, the giant bear mech was dead. In a split second, after Sky One extracted the energy core, Eagle One transformed into flight mode and soared into the sky, unleashing heavy artillery fire upon the remaining mechs below. In an instant, that entire sector turned into a mechanical purgatory. Meanwhile, Abyss Dragon 1 began clearing the debris, stashing the energy cores into storage, and gathering the twisted metal remnants, compressing them into a massive metallic sphere. Once the trio had swiftly cleaned up the battlefield, they departed with the energy cores and the metal sphere. This spectacle left the mech trooper and the Emperor gasping in stunned silence. Who on earth were they? To think, they wiped them out in a single blow. The same question hung silently in both their minds. Mo City, shipyard, shallow water zone, the massive towering Ba Tian Zero was raining fire relentlessly into the sea. After about half an hour, it finally ceased its overwhelming barrage. At this moment, inside the central bridge of Ba Tian Zero was an apartment-like space of over 3,000 square feet, complete with a bathroom, a kitchen, a study, and everything else you could need. It was situated right at the center of Ba Tian Zero's chest. Inside this main bridge, dozens of screens were hung up, each providing full-body surveillance of the Ba Tian mech, though it is called a bridge. Apart from these screens, you could not even see a single piece of standard instrument panel. In reality, this so-called bridge was a name Lin Chen gave it himself. This apartment should not have existed, but just moments ago, after upgrading this mech via the system, Lin Chen built this villa right in the middle of it. According to the specs, this villa is actually just for the pilot to relax, while the AI handles the driving. Put simply, it is just a mobile safe house. With the AI boosting combat performance, the pilot can totally ignore what is going on outside, staying in the room to rest until the fight is over. Right now, Lin Chen is in exactly that state. He is lying on the sofa in the cockpit, casually scrolling through news on his phone. Though some cities' networks collapsed in an instant, others still held their ground. They published the latest updates immediately. Without exception, All these reports were about the sudden appearance of cyber beasts worldwide. From the news, he roughly gathered that Shen Sha Group and authorities acted fast. From the very start of the cyber outbreak, they had finished organizing the regular troops and the cyber soldier legions. Then, according to the danger levels, they dispatched troops for defense. And because of that, early cyber mutations were easily contained by the cyber soldier teams. But Lin Chen knew this was only temporary. The beast tide in 7 days will be the real beginning of this cyber apocalypse. At that time, the mech beasts will suddenly coordinate, launching frenzied attacks on every city. Even the military and cyber soldiers will be powerless to stop them. Back then, those mech beasts behaved just like well-trained soldiers. They crushed the defending mech warriors with terrifying speed, starting their all-out assault on the cities. And what is more, depending on the size of the city, they would distribute their beast tide forces accordingly. Lin Chen still remembers the city he was in, Wadu, which was hit hardest by the beast tide. Even the strongest cyber soldiers could not hold them back. When those giant mech beasts entered the city center, they had a clear goal. Driven by their beastly instincts, they hunted down humans. Then, just like a human crushing an ant, they wiped out all of them. Back then, he was skewered right through his body by a spiky, giant mech porcupine. Thinking back on it now, Lin Chen still feels a shiver down his spine, just as he was lying on the sofa, reliving his past life. Xing Chen's voice suddenly snapped him back to reality. Master, all mech beasts in the sector have been cleared and reclaimed. Please issue the next order. Is it all done then? Lin Chen put his phone away, got up from the sofa, and looked out the villa window at the ocean. Outside stretched an endless sea, floating above the water. Batian Zero had extended several small platforms. From these platforms, multiple mechanical arms extended deep below. These were specifically designed to salvage energy, cores, and underwater mechanical scraps. After all, the main arms of Batian Zero are way too massive. Going in blindly with them might accidentally smash the energy cores. That is why Xing Chen set up this platform. Good work, Xing Chen. Lin Chen nodded in satisfaction. He then asked, how much longer will this salvage work take in total? Master, the salvage platforms will be done in about half an hour. That should do it. Recycle all mecha, scraps and energy cores immediately. How long will it take to reforge these? Answer. Total refabrication of all units. Estimated time is about 24 hours. Total of 130 units, including 30 B-grade mechas, 100 C-grade mechas, no A-grade mechas then. A flicker of disappointment crossed Lin Chen's face. He had hoped that, by carpet bombing this zone, he might snag at least one big catch. Turns out it is all just piles of B-grades, though that much was to be expected. After all, if A-grade mecha beasts were that easy to find, it would be too simple. Just as he was contemplating, Xing Chen suddenly chimed in again. Master, the nearest mecha beast invading Mo City has been neutralized by Abyss 1, Falcon 1, and Dawn 1. Plus, they brought back an A-grade mecha beast. Hearing that, Lin Chen was no longer bothered. A grade. So we already have an A-grade. Seems like the fauna here is actually quite fierce. Considering this place is so vast and desolate, with predators roaming everywhere, it makes perfect sense to stumble upon an A-grade beast here. Hurry, Xing Chen, get me out there to take a look. Affirmative. Master. Following Xing Chen's acknowledgement, the giant floor-to-ceiling windows of the villa slowly slid open. Then a small jet-propelled robot floated slowly in front of him. Underneath the robot was a small enclosed space for one person. This is the Ba Tian Zero's personal elevator, dedicated for Lin Chen's transport. Lin Chen stepped inside, and the little robot received the command, slowly flying towards the dock. Before long, the little robot had touched down with Lin Chen at Dock 7. 3 combat mechas were also touching down in front of him simultaneously. Even though he had seen these 3 land before, seeing it again now, the sheer impact was still overwhelming. What shocked him even more was the mountain of scrap metal behind Abyss 1. That sphere of condensed mecha parts was even larger than the 3 mechas before his eyes. It is hard to imagine exactly how many creatures are in there. Besides the metal sphere, behind the Falcon 1, lay a mecha bear dissected into 2 halves. Even though it was split in 2, its massive body size was already matching that sphere. This must be that A-grade mecha beast, right? And looking at it, it is even a grizzly bear. For a moment, Lin Chen was somewhat excited. Creatures like grizzly bears are absolute overlords of the natural world. Whether it is sheer strength or bite force, they are the king of kings. This way, I have gained a powerful enforcer. By the way, what about the energy cores? Lin Chen had been looking for ages, but had not spotted a single energy core. He opened his mouth to ask. Answer. Master, the energy cores are stored in the Yuanlong 1 energy bay. 1 A-grade Cyber Bear energy core. 70 C-grade Cyber Walrus energy cores. That is a lot. Lin Chen raised a brow. He thought that metal pile was only a dozen or so, but it turned out to be 70 mecha walruses. Still, how did these walruses end up in the city? Walruses should be in the far northern seas. Reply: because of cyber radiation. The ecosystems of the whole world have been shattered. Some animals have gained extraordinary power, so they are no longer limited to one region. And as their strength keeps rising, they begin to expand their territory. And driven by instinct, they attack human cities. Xing Chen gave a simple explanation, and it was crystal clear. These animals have simply grown stronger and broken free of nature's limits. They no longer stay trapped in one place. And with cyber radiation making it worse, their instincts now mark humans as prey, which leads them to launch wild attacks and raids on human territory. After all, the strong prey on the weak. Once they become stronger, they stop being satisfied with the status quo and start attacking weaker creatures. After sorting that out, Lin Chen had no more doubts. After all, in his previous life, he had seen news on television of fish mechas coming ashore and attacking coastal cities. If even fish can break free of nature's limits, then land beasts can do it too. Besides, he has no spare time to worry about any natural law. He first has to make sure that in this apocalypse, he holds absolute power. Xing Chen, if we add these energy cores and mecha fragments, how long until they can be rebuilt? Reply: reporting to Master. The estimated time required will increase by another 24 hours. In 24 hours, you will have 1 A-grade mecha behemoth, 30 B-grade mecha behemoths, and 170 C-grade mecha behemoths. 1 plus 30 plus 170. That makes 201 mecha behemoths in total. It may not sound that scary on paper, but if they are truly built, they would absolutely rival the defensive strength of a city mecha garrison. If they are used well, they could even steamroll a whole country. And that was exactly what he had in mind. Good. Xing Chen, follow my command. Activate the automatic defense system. Order the 3 mechas to patrol around Batian 0 and guard the perimeter. Do not let any mecha creature get close. If another mecha behemoth invades, wipe them all out. This time, there is no need to bring back the metal scraps. Just recover the energy cores as reserve power, and keep every core of B grade or higher. The rest can recharge the 3 mechas at any time. Understood. Executing now. March 9th, 9 in the morning. Time moved fast. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. During those 2 days, many major events took place. For example, the sudden cyber behemoths destroyed nearly 40% of human settlements. The population is plummeting rapidly. Once the official mecha soldiers clear out, the giant cyber beasts invading every nation. The world's elite held a summit overnight and signed a mutual aid pact. Just like in the previous timeline, they formed a global cyber alliance. Their objective was to bring all the world's cyber citizens together to jointly resist the relentless giant beasts. Furthermore, Shensha proposed gradually relocating all survivors from every country to Shensha territory. This way, there would not be any regions left with dangerously thin defenses. And everyone knew exactly what that meant. It was a power play, plain and simple. After all, this is their home turf. If you come here, you have to play by their rules. Who else has such superior defense and adaptability? And if you compare the current ranks of cyber mecha warriors, Shensha has the highest number of troops and mechas, plus beyond their elite, close quarters combat experience. Their physical augmentation is top tier. That is why smaller nations are flocking to Shensha, and the world order is slowly shifting. Aside from that, news of rare giant beast sightings keeps popping up. For instance, in a massive rift in the south, locals discovered a mecha beast resembling a dragon, and it was even uploaded online. Up in the North Pole, satellite surveillance detected a cluster of asteroid-sized entities starting to wake up, and in that tiny island nation of Zepang, they even had a lava giant erupt from Mt. Fuji. The authorities immediately placed the polar region and the rift area under total lockdown. The Global Cyber Alliance began deploying heavy-duty cyber warriors to scout those 3 zones. Dangerous as it is, humanity just can't resist exploring the unknown. Meanwhile, the Alliance issued a new policy. They categorized all cyber beasts according to their threat level. Those 3 unknown giant beasts were provisionally labeled as S-class, and a massive bounty was placed on them. Beyond those 3 regions, if you find any other ancient cyber beasts, you can submit proof online and farm energy cores based on how rare the target is. It is a gold rush. Some people are so desperate for energy cores that they are pulling out all their crazy video editing skills to post bizarre faked beast sightings all over the web. From a staff-wielding mecha monkey jumping out of a stone, to a 3-headed dog breathing literal fire, to a giant watermelon mecha wearing a cleaver. It just gets more absurd. I thought those were the limit for these netizens. But then a video took the absurdity to a whole new level. There it was, a giant cyber chicken, complete with hardcore background music. It completely broke the immersion. The comments were even more wild. Damn it, I am not a clown. Wait, no. Who told you to edit the video like this? Does this even qualify as an S-class beast? The 5th generation of fake junk. As we all know, videos can't be photoshopped, so this must be legit. Looks fake as hell though. What? A total fanboy. What is wrong with you people? How the hell can people believe this trash? Just woke up and started scrolling through these videos. Lin Chen could not help but mutter to himself. These netizens may be useless for anything else, but damn, their memes are top tier. After scrolling a bit more, Lin Chen tossed his phone aside. He crawled out of his 10 square meter bed. After about 10 seconds, he stepped off the bed, slid into his slippers, and walked over to the window. Drawing back the curtains, he gave a long stretch, gazing out through the colossal floor-to-ceiling glass. The vast serene blue ocean stretched out before him. He could not help letting out a yawn. This boundless expanse of sea made him feel a bit drowsy again. Just as he was about to head back for a snooze, Xing Chen spoke up, prompting him. Reporting, Master. The mecha fabrication bay is complete. 200 beast-class mechas have been produced. They have all been automatically synced to your voice recognition system. They will obey your commands alone. That fast. Lin Chen was fully awake now, because 3 Type 1 mechas were currently out patrolling, repelling alien mecha beasts. Given the situation, he would spend the last 2 days just eating and sleeping and eating, like he was on a beach vacation. So, when he heard his mecha army battalion was ready, a surge of excitement washed over him. He was so pumped, he did not even stop to change. He took the elevator straight to the Ba Tian 0 entrance. The mecha preparation bay is located at the pinnacle of Ba Tian 0, a sci-fi laboratory with a massive glass dome. It is about the size of several football fields. The moment he stepped into the storage bay, he felt a distinct cyberpunk vibe filling the air. Along the aisles, there were lines of mecha energy cells of all sizes. They looked like sleek sci-fi capsules, emitting a faint blue glow. This was the dedicated facility for recharging the mechas. Near the entrance were the cells for small-scale mechas, with various types of mecha beasts standing in perfect order. The most numerous were the mammoth and giant crab variants, followed by several smaller mecha fish. Their exoskeletons had been coated in a scorching, fiery red, and their designs were far more humanoid than before. They were equipped with independent legs for walking and flexible hands for grasping. This was a specific requirement of Lin Chen's, mainly so these small mechas could handle the recycling of energy cores and metal components. Walking further ahead, there were the large energy cells. There were 3 in total. These 3 were meant for the Type 1 mechas, but since they were still out on patrol, the bays were currently empty. Moving further down was the giant energy cell. A towering mecha stood silently in its center, greedily absorbing the energy from the bay. The mecha stood over 20 meters tall, a true behemoth. It looked like a majestic mountain, enough to strike fear into anyone. Its head was a dark shade of crimson, as if stained with fresh blood, exuding a murderous aura. Sensing someone approaching, its body slowly began to glow with blue-purple light, and it emitted a deep, resonant voice. "Greetings, my master." The sudden greeting caught Lin Chen off guard. He muttered in disbelief. "Xing Chen, was that you speaking?" It was the only thing he could think of. That is the only possibility. It cannot be that this giant bear mecha has developed its own AI consciousness, right? Now that is some terrifying food for thought. Answer: Master, that was not my voice. Not really. Before Lin Chen could finish his sentence, Xing Chen started answering, replying to Master. This is the self-awareness inherent in a grade mechas. Even before the cyber mutation, animals already possessed basic consciousness. It is just that due to the radiation of cyber energy, their cognitive processes have undergone a qualitative leap, granting them human-like intelligence. On this foundation, I have implanted all global languages into it, and programmed it to recognize you as master. However, currently it only knows basic languages, and has not been set with emotions or personality. Would you like to customize its personality? Xing Chen's explanation, while sounding complex, was actually just saying that this giant bear mecha had gained human learning abilities due to the cyber mutation, and now it is like in those raising simulation games. I can run a series of settings for this mecha. Xing Chen, if you put it that way, I feel like this is truly a bit too cool. A real-life mecha raising sim. I do not think any man could resist this, right? Plus, it already has the perfect setup for this giant bear mecha right here. So, without a second thought, he brought up the data frame for the giant bear mecha and started editing it rapidly. Personality settings: wild yet steady, emotion, cold and detached, basic profile, a giant bear overlord from the polar region, the master of the glaciers, possesses supreme physical strength and wisdom far beyond other bears. It can channel lightning power to buff itself. Attitude: arrogant, but absolutely obedient to its master, Lin Chen. Done. After finishing the editing, Lin Chen pressed the confirm button, and looking at the successful modification, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. And for added realism, he even had Xing Chen reinforce this giant bear mecha with special materials, adding thunder properties and lightning resistance, and named it Thunder Overlord. Until noon at 12 of the clock. Master, the Thunder Overlord modification is complete. Energy is fully charged. Would you like to initiate a simulated training? No need. Lin Chen waved his hand, a faint smirk playing on his lips. We are going straight for the big play. Sha Kingdom, Shen Sha Group. After the cyber apocalypse descended, he established an army of countless cyber truckers, with over 100 trucks alone. Their combat power is extraordinary. Even the local worlds. Cyber Alliance has to give them some respect. They are truly the local heavyweights. At this moment, Chairman Chen Long was sitting in his office, leisurely drinking coffee and watching a movie. A knock on the door echoed. Chen Long, eyes glued to the computer screen, said indifferently, "Come in." As his voice fell, a woman in uniform pushes the door open. She is Chen Long's secretary. Reporting, Chairman, we have successfully tracked Lin Chen's location. Already tracked. Chen Long freezes for a moment. He sets down his coffee. He hits the spacebar on his keyboard. Then, looking at her with urgency, where is he right now? About Lin Chen. As his uncle, I still care about the boy. After all, his father, Lin Yu, was a very close friend of mine. Before Lin Yu passed away, I promised to look after Lin Chen. So as soon as things stabilized, I immediately sent people to find him. Reporting, Chairman, Lin Chen is currently at the largest shipyard in Wadu. Wadu, the World Cyber Alliance Crisis Department. Strategic representatives have gathered in the conference room, and presiding over this meeting is the representative of the Mauzi, Bulyev. This is footage captured by our satellite surveillance imaging of the Lashinsky-class mecha. On the meeting room screen, it is showing the naval shipyard where Lin Chen's Ba Tian-0 mecha is located. As everyone knows, satellite images are taken from 10,000 meters high. Even the landmarks of the capital on the satellite map are just small dots. But the mecha in this picture is already as big as a small island. This inevitably makes all representatives present raise questions. Mr. Bulyev, although we do not fully understand the types and origins of the cyber mecha, but the mecha in your picture is definitely that aircraft carrier you auctioned off. It can't possibly be that big, right? The one posing this question is the representative of the Foot Basin, because on the satellite map, their country is only 4 or 5 times that size. He feels insulted, but Bulyev says firmly, "My apologies, Mr. Shah, this is a fact, and this carrier was at the time auctioned by a wealthy merchant from Shah. If you have any doubts about this, you can ask the Shah side." He throws the question directly to the Shah side. This makes everyone look simultaneously at Mr. Long, the representative of Shah sitting at the head. At this moment, Long has his hands folded in front of him, appearing deep in thought. A moment later, Long speaks slowly. "It is true. The buyer of this carrier is a businessman of ours. His name is Lin Chen. 2 days ago, when the Grand Emperor contacted our side, we also had doubts about this. But when we used the Shenzhou Sky Eye system to inspect those waters, we captured this footage. What Mr. Bulyev is showing now is exactly what we sent over to the Mauzi. What, are you doubting the sky eye of our Shahsoid?" After Long finishes speaking, he stares intently at the representative of the Foot Basin. Because of the cyber apocalypse, he has not slept in 2 days. Now he has to drag his exhausted body to attend this meeting, so his expression is somewhat fierce. This makes the representative from the Foot Basin immediately deflate. "No, impossible. Though I, Jingsha, thought I had a solid backer, it is still a different ball game. When you hit a wall, since there are no objections, Mr. Volkov, please proceed." "Understood, Mr. Long." Volkov nods. Just as he was about to continue his presentation, a piercing alarm suddenly blared. The meeting room lights flashed in shades of red and black. "This is the Japan Cyber Alliance speaking. At the summit of Mount Fuji, we have detected 7 S-class metallic mecha titans. Requesting immediate support. Requesting immediate support." "What is going on? Quick, pull up the visual feed," Long barked in a calm, steady voice. His men immediately switched the meeting screen to a live feed from Mount Fuji. At the summit of Mount Fuji at this moment, a blue and purple-hued mecha stands there, its massive frame radiating a silver light. Looks like a deity descended from the heavens. Lightning pattern markings cover its body, pulsing as if it were alive. Its designation is the Thunder Sovereign. It is currently unleashing indiscriminate bombardment on the volcanic crater. Mount Fuji is one of the largest active volcanoes in the world. So with every barrage, magma overflows from the crater. This lava, also known as the Earth's Heartfire, is molten rock in a high-temperature state. Its viscosity is extreme. Temperatures typically range from 700 to 1200 degrees. At such temperatures, any carbon-based lifeform would be liquefied. So if this spills out, it spells absolute doom for all of Japan. Japan is no stranger to volcanic eruptions, but usually, by the time the lava flows down the mountain, it has already cooled and solidified into rock. But the situation now is that this mecha, targetingly, is subjecting the crater to high-intensity strikes. With this scale of bombardment, let alone rocks, even steel would melt away. So once the crater cracks, the magma kept by Mount Fuji for years will pour down. Never mind just southern Japan. The entire island could sink. Moreover, volcanic eruptions also trigger plate tectonic movement, thereby causing earthquakes. The quakes will bring rising sea levels, eventually submerging the whole island under the ocean. Damn it. What is happening? Where the hell did this mecha come from? Inside the Wadu World Cyber Alliance meeting room, Jingsha could not help but curse out loud. That is his homeland. If the volcano truly erupts, his ancestors would truly have nothing left to go back to. Furthermore, the eruption will absolutely turn their already sparse history into dust once again. This disaster could rival, or even surpass the cyber crisis of March 7th. And within his own country, they just finished slaughtering those mecha titans that invaded the city. And now this happens. How can he not be furious? Though it is true that as long as we deal with that mecha titan, the source of the eruption can be eliminated. That is exactly where the problem lies. An S-class mecha titan. Who could possibly take that down? The Japanese cyber users have not awakened any special mecha. The vast majority are just Autobots. And local ones at that. You know, automotives from Japan have always favored lightweight designs. What does that imply? It means their mechs are flimsy as paper, utterly fragile. A single Shen Sha mecha can take on 3 of theirs. That is why he looked so hopeless when he saw Long. Consequently, their local cyber power is completely unable to withstand this mech titan. They can only let it run wild. And on Mount Fuji, it is not just this one. Before this, they already detected 7 quasi-S-class, dormant magma class mechs. If the blast wakes them up, before the sea can swallow them, the whole island will be obliterated. So now he can only seethe in helpless rage. Right then, the American delegate patted his shoulder, comforting him with false empathy. Pal, do not be so upset. Even if your local forces can't stop that beast, we still have backup. As he spoke, he turned his gaze toward Long in the main seat. Upon hearing this, the Japanese representative perked up instantly, imploring Long for support. Long, you have to save us. We have signed a treaty after all. Long listened, eyes narrowing slightly, turning the table on them. Mr. American delegate, why do not you offer a helping hand? Your cyber forces do not seem weak either, right? Hearing this, the American smiled, calmly waving his index finger. No, Long sir, you are putting us on the spot. Besides, we would love to help, but we just can't make it in time, can we? Our nearest armor support unit would need 2 hours to get there. I am afraid in 2 hours, the island will be gone. So, right now, the only one who can lend a hand is you, sir. The guy's intentions were clear. They just want to watch from the sidelines. Long raised an eyebrow. Funny, I heard. Your country has been helping Japan build their defenses. Did I remember that wrong? Or perhaps, mister, you are not interested in helping your allies. If I recall correctly, our previous proposal, you two were the ones who opposed it, were not you. Instantly, the temperature in the room dropped to 0. Long's meaning was clear. You turn us down. I can turn you down too. The Japanese representative's face flushed red. He was seething but could not say a word. Besides, neither of these was someone he could offend. He just had to swallow his distress. Right at that moment, the Korean representative, watching from the side, suddenly pointed at the screen and shouted, Look, what is that? Everyone suddenly looked at the screen. They saw in the crater of Mount Fuji, a pillar of lava suddenly shot up, sending a tidal wave of molten rock 100 meters high. But this lava had absolutely no impact on. Does the Thunder Overlord cause any impact? Inside the volcano, hissing sounds and low roars echo out. It sends an inexplicable chill down the spine. It is finally coming out. Over here, Batian 0. Lin Chen watches the feed transmitted by Thunder Overlord. A smirk forms on his face. He sent the Thunder Overlord to the island for 2 reasons. First, to test the overall performance of this S-class mecha. Second, to capture this S-class Magma Titan mecha. This is crucial for his future plans. Master, structural damage detected at the volcanic vent core. If not repaired in time, the magma leakage at the volcano's base could wipe out 70% of the local population. Shall I execute repair protocols for the Thunder Overlord? Repair. Why would I bother? Accelerate the barrage intensity instead. This Magma Titan's hide is tough as nails. I want to see what kind of creature this really is. Order transmitted. Lin Chen is no philanthropist. There is no reason to save those unrelated strangers, let alone people on this island. If the whole island vanishes, he would probably even chuckle. Following Lin Chen's command, Thunder Overlord unleashes full firepower, bombarding the volcano with maximum aggression. Soon, the entire mountain can no longer hold. It collapses with a thunderous roar. Just then, scalding lava from the mountainside rushes down like a torrential flood. Although many had already fled, those who gambled that it would not erupt were swallowed by the lava, leaving nothing but ash. And the lava moves incredibly fast. Many were incinerated by the heat wave while trying to escape. In this chaotic mess, the Cybermasters naturally fled in their mechas first, leaving behind the weak and vulnerable humans. Without the protection of the Cybermasters, various mecha beasts crawled out from their hideouts, launching a frantic attack on the humans. Even those who narrowly escaped the lava could hardly escape the onslaught of these mecha beasts. At this moment, the entire volcano has turned into a hellscape. About a minute later, as the magma surged out, the heart of the volcano revealed a block of fiery red mecha armor. Upon sensing the air, it shook its body and stood up. Its eyes glowed with a faint golden light, its entire frame covered in aerodynamic plating. Most importantly, its size is roughly a tenth of the island, and that metallic block just revealed was merely its head. A mecha of this scale, regardless of its size or raw power, far exceeds the Thunder Overlord. Standing over 300 meters tall, it blots out the sun. The arrival of this monstrosity only adds to the chaos on the island. Warning: the Titan is identified as a Super S-Class Magma Titan. Analyzing its capabilities now. Analysis complete. S-Class Magma Titan Mecha. Base attack, 50,000. Base defense, 100,000. Speed, 700. Basic analysis. An ancient stone behemoth that thrives in magma, mutated by cyber radiation. Now a volcanic mech beast radiating extreme heat. Victory probability for Lei Ting command, 0%. Your overall combat effectiveness against it, 40%. These are the AI analysis results from Xing Chen. It is clear how terrifying this volcanic beast truly is. Seeing a behemoth of this size, Lin Chen could not help but frown. Lin Chen issued orders immediately. He wanted to recall the Lei Ting command unit, but Xing Chen provided an updated analysis. Report, Master. If you recall the Lei Ting command now, the volcanic mech beast will, in 30 minutes, set foot on the Sha continent. Proceed. This dilemma caught Lin Chen off guard. Though in this wasteland era, there should not be room for sentiment or pity, the hot blood running through his veins did not allow him to be that cold. He still remembered his father's words. In one's lifetime, the one thing you must never forget is to love your country. Nothing else matters. These words Lin Lu would often repeat to Lin Chen, right up until he passed away. He shut his eyes, taking a deep breath. Then he pressed the nanomech pad on his right wrist. As the purple gleam flashed from the wrist platform, his body gradually merged into one with the mech. Xing Chen, order Lei Ting command to swarm around the volcanic beast. Then dispatch 3 Type 1 mechs to reinforce them. Buy me time before I arrive. Received, Master. Following the order, Shen Ying, Yuan Long and 3 Type 1 mechs launched out, roaring as they headed south. Lin Chen began to slowly move his massive carrier vessel body. He was amazed to discover that after the upgrade, this carrier mech had seen a tier up in both speed and agility. He could even execute intricate, tiny maneuvers, far more coordinated than the mechs of his past life. This forced Lin Chen to once again admire how good this system is. Warm-up finished, he engaged all the rear vector engines and zoomed toward the south. Meanwhile, at the World Cyber Alliance Sha Bureau, due to the emergency, they calculated the volcanic mech beast's final destination to be the far east of Sha. The meeting was cut short. Long mobilized immediately, deploying tens of thousands of troops to the east coast. Their goal was to stop that massive titan from entering Sha. Simultaneously, Long launched a global live stream. He hoped to use the broadcast to call on all surviving cyber survivors nationwide to unite and jointly resist this volcanic mech beast. The stream was titled, "Those Who Offend Sha, no matter how far, shall be destroyed." Though the title was incredibly theatrical, the moment the stream went live, millions of people flooded in. Most of them were ordinary civilians, but within them, it also includes many unregistered cyborg-borns. After all, the official military can't cover everything. Plus, with the cyborg crisis on the 7th of March, there were not many powerful beasts. Maybe just some small fries. At worst, just some minor mecha beasts. So in some remote cities or villages, the local cyborg-borns could obviously handle them with ease. Afterwards, these cyborg-borns just stayed locked up at home. So they are easy to hide. But now, upon learning, a giant lava mecha beast is heading toward their country, it naturally grabbed their attention. The live stream right now is showing footage transmitted from a drone on-site. A massive, hundreds of meters tall mecha beast is slowly moving across the surface of the sea. Every step it takes, you can feel the camera shaking. And because its body is so intensely hot, the seawater is boiling into thick clouds of steam, even causing the sea level to visibly drop. This never-before-seen gargantuan mecha creature naturally pushed the live chat into a frenzy. Damn, what the hell do you call this, a mecha? Are you sure this is not just a moving steam engine? And and this thing looks like it is not someone to mess with. What do you think? Can Commander Long and his squad intercept it? Hard to say. Look, the state of this monster's mecha shell. It is definitely heat resistant, and supposedly this was the S-rank mecha beast, dormant in Mount Fuji. In other words, heavy firepower weapons would likely trigger an explosion before even making contact. And regarding its body, even if regular missiles detonated, it probably would not do much. Hey you above, do you mean using nukes? What I mean is, you might as well eat and drink your fill before you kick the bucket. Screw you. On this side, Commander Long is leading a few thousand cyborg-born soldiers at an altitude of several hundred meters above the beast, conducting a net-style attack against that lava mecha beast. But these attacks, just as that guy said, detonate from the heat before even getting close. Even the steel spears melted instantly upon touching the giant lava mecha beast's surface. Commander Long, we can't even land a hit on it. Should we? One of the squad leaders slowly flew toward Long, but before he could finish, Long raised his hand to cut him off. I know what you want to say, but look at the speed it is crawling at. It is getting faster and faster. At this rate, it will reach our coastline in less than 20 minutes. If we use nuclear weapons now, the coastal cities will absolutely suffer massive damage. But Commander Long, there are no buts. Long waved his hand dismissively. Take the men back to resupply ammo and energy. What about you, Commander Long? I will stay here to observe a while longer. Seeing this, the squad leader did not say anything further, nodded his head. Understood. Then please take care of yourself, Commander Long. I will. The captain led his squad of cyber fighters, charging toward the temporary defensive base. Meanwhile, Long hovered in the air, contemplating a countermeasure. Heavy artillery and kinetic weapons could not even break its surface, and tactical nukes are not even an option in this sector. Even if we use them, it would be a total waste. It feels like we have hit a dead end. But just then, he spotted a silhouette, hovering not far above the lava mecha titan. It is, hovering above the head of that lava mecha titan, was a shimmering blue and purple mecha. It was the Ba Tian-0, responding to Lin Chen's command. It opened fire with everything it had, locking onto the titan's head. A massive volley of missiles rained down. The first wave of missiles detonated just meters above the lava mecha titan, triggered by the intense heat. But upon detonation, they released a freezing white gas. The following missiles followed right behind, piercing through the white mist to land. A direct hit on the titan's head. Deep down, the lava mecha titan clearly felt the pain, letting out a screech. The scene blew up the live stream instantly. No way. Guys, what kind of mecha bear is that? That is a mortal standing toe-to-toe with a god. Beats me. All I know is, that is the same mecha that trashed the Fu-2 mountain beast. I saw the broadcast of it back then. It was insane. Wait, is not that the one that unleashed the lava mecha titan? Why are you rooting for it? We are all gonna be toast soon. Hold your horses. Don't you see it is pinning down that lava beast? It means, that is a patriot bear. What the hell is a patriot bear? You think it is a giant panda. It was not just the viewers who were shocked. Long, watching the whole thing, was stunned too. It is stopping that thing from advancing. Initially, Long guessed, this mecha bear was waiting for the perfect chance to unleash the lava beast and cause chaos, just to go on a hunting spree. But now it seems, its only target really is that lava mecha titan. And this mecha bear's behavior does not look like a wild beast. It seems controlled by a battle-hardened human. And he noticed something else. It just used a cryo missile to lower the temperature around the lava mecha titan, making it vulnerable to the following missiles that actually hit and stopped it. Long suddenly had a realization. Everything became clear in an instant. At that moment, the captain brought his cyber fighters back, recharged and ready, snapping him out of his thoughts. Team leader Long, our reserves are fully recharged. Please issue your next orders. Long snapped out of his trance, then gave a nod. All units, listen up, soldiers. Give me everything you have got to support that mecha bear. Focus all cryo missiles on the titan's head. Team leader Long, support it. The captain was not the only one confused. The other soldiers were bewildered too. That is a cyber mutant beast, and it was the one that released the monster. Now you want us to provide support. Might as well just hand it the keys to the city. Is this a joke? Don't ask questions you should not. If you want to stop it, then just follow my orders. Long looks very serious. Seriously. The squad leader has never seen Commander Long this tense. They assumed Commander Long must have his reasons. So the mecha soldiers had no objections. Returned to the supply center to swap for cryo rounds. Led by Long, they headed straight toward the magma mecha bear. Upon reaching the target, Long signaled all the mechas. The soldiers unleashed a storm of cryo rounds. In an instant, chill air blanketed the sea for 3 kilometers. At the surface's edge, it was even starting to freeze over. The intense heat from the magma mecha bear's body naturally reacted with the cryo rounds. Hissing sounds filled the air. Such a dense barrage of cryo shells naturally slowed the magma mecha bear down, as well as curbing its thermal output. The independent-minded Thunder Overlord seized the moment. As the temperature dropped, it raised its arms high, pointing toward the sky. Then, 2 cannon blasts fired from its forearms. They moved at lightning speed, piercing through the cloud layer, bursting open in the air. The next moment, above in the firmament, a deafening boom suddenly erupted, accompanied by thunder. A torrential downpour began. At the exact same time, a massive golden bolt of lightning struck down from the sky, directly hitting the Thunder Overlord arms. This left Long standing nearby, and his soldiers feeling chilled to the bone. They were lucky they were not too close to that massive bear. Otherwise, that strike would have definitely killed them. Commander Long, what are we doing? Should we seize the chance to attack? The squad leader asked, voice trembling. Long shook his head calmly. Not yet. Wait and see. It is better to keep our distance. He sensed this was definitely a superpowered attack. He retreated with his mechas several hundred meters back. Meanwhile, the Thunder Overlord used its lightning absorption ability. Not only did it fully recharge its energy, but it also gathered all the excess electrical discharge in its hands, forming a blinding sphere of golden lightning. Gradually, the thunderball grew larger and larger. It paused to aim, massive as its own torso. Then, like a basketball pro, it hurled the thunderball straight at the magma mecha bear's head. Instantly, lightning crackled everywhere. Lasers surged. The temperature of the lightning far exceeded the molten lava, causing the magma mecha bear to let out a pained roar. It lasted for 3 minutes before stopping, after which, the red glow of its body dimmed. Dense smoke billowed all around. The footage transmitted back by the drones sent the netizens into a frenzy. Holy cow, I had no idea the mecha bear was also a lightning master. This is way too cool. Did it work? It is definitely a success. Hey, you guys really set yourselves up for a jinx. Why do I get a bad feeling about this? I do not know if it is because the internet keyboard warriors typing cursors, or the law of no smoke, no damage. As the smoke cleared, the entire sea surface suddenly began to tremble. The lava mecha giant's red exterior began to glow again. A scorching heat wave swept over once more. The rising temperature caused the sea levels to drop repeatedly, revealing its body hidden beneath the water. No, everyone could finally see its true form. It turns out that what was barely visible above the surface was only a mere third of its true size. You could say it was a titan of destruction incarnate. Thunderlord sensed something was wrong. Just as he prepared to power up, the lava giant reached out and grabbed him with its massive claws, then slammed him heavily back into the sea. In a split second, it swung its arm with immense force, shaking the ocean surface, and creating a tsunami hundreds of meters high, crashing towards the Shensha mainland. In an instant, the celebratory atmosphere in the live stream vanished. A dead silence followed, staring at the 100-meter-tall wave. Long and his mecha soldiers were stunned. Their mechas looked so insignificant now. They felt engulfed by despair. It was impossible to stop. In this situation, they only had one way out. That was to flee rather than face that sky-high wave. After all, with their current mecha frame, it was impossible to stop the momentum of the wave, let alone defeat the lava mecha giant. But these mecha soldiers had underestimated the speed of the crashing wave. In the blink of an eye, it roared forward, hovering right above the mecha squadron. Captain Long, we can't escape. Shall we just fight it head-on? Gazing at the massive, towering wave, Long and the mecha soldiers knew they were hopeless. Might as well go down swinging against that lava mecha giant. At least it would be a sacrifice for the nation. Captain Long nodded. Looks like this is the only way. He knew, given their current remaining energy regeneration rates, there was no chance of outrunning this tidal attack. So rather than running away just to be swallowed by the ocean, they might as well take a stand, turning back to engage. That was their only path. Attention, everyone. Just as Long was about to explain his plan, a massive mecha descended from the sky. Its form, like a towering mountain, stood like an immovable levee, blocking the beast's heaven-shaking tsunami. The crashing waves recoiled off the lava mecha giant's body, sending a mist of water into the air. Long and the soldiers instinctively looked up. The sight left them breathless. The mecha glowed with a flame-like hue, its metallic frame displaying perfectly streamlined aesthetics. It was Lin Chen, Ba Tian Zero, Long, Captain Long. Seeing such a colossal mecha warrior, they were momentarily speechless. Within a single day, witnessing 2 separate 100-meter mechas is enough to shake even the most battle-hardened soldiers. It really forces one to feel a sense of dread towards such unfathomable, massive creatures. Don't worry, they are our people. What Long has been waiting for this whole time is exactly this moment. In fact, he had pretty much guessed it recently, regarding the connection between that mecha bear and Lin Chen. So the decision he made was essentially a gamble, betting on whether Lin Chen would come to save his homeland. Now, it seems, his gamble paid off. Team leader Long, it is our own guy. The squad leader scratched his metallic head, confused. It seemed he did not quite grasp what Long meant. Long patted him on the shoulder. Listen, you will understand once this is all over. Let us pull back for now. Otherwise, we will just get in his way. After all, combat on this scale is not something we can get involved in. All right, the squad leader puzzled over it for a long while, then decided to stop overthinking it, and followed team leader Long away. Lin Chen's appearance reignited hope in the livestream chat. Holy cow, he actually blocked that cannon blast. Whoa, that must be aircraft carrier class, right? Looks insanely cool. Just wonder if he is stronger or weaker than that magma giant beast. Need you ask? Obviously, the cooler, the stronger. Fair point. At this moment, seeing the obstacles clear out, Lin Chen finally relaxed his stance. He briefly articulated his arms, releasing the humming sound of mechanical gears rotating. He shifted his body forward, appearing to be searching for something. He was looking for the remains of the Thunder Lord. After all, that was the first mecha he had infused with a personality module. I absolutely cannot lose it. A man's first time is always the most precious. He slowly moved his massive frame toward the debris. The Thunder Lord's mechanical limbs were shattered and scattered. The energy core was exposed to the surface, but its consciousness seemed to still linger. When it saw Lin Chen, it slowly picked up its half-detached right arm. Master, my mission complete. Before it could even finish, the energy core, symbol of its vitality, dimmed. You did well. Lin Chen nodded, stowing the remains into the storage bay. He then turned around, glancing toward the magma mecha beast that was still crawling along the ground. Instantly, killing intent surged. He slowly raised his right palm, and a laser beam erupted from it in a heartbeat. In a blink, the scorching laser pierced right through the magma mecha beast. But that was not the end of it. Lin Chen's focus sharpened, and the mecha's exoskeleton began to reconfigure. An array of weaponry was exposed as the plates opened up. Full firepower, engage. A barrage of missiles was unleashed, like an unstoppable tidal wave, dead set on the magma giant beast. Even though this magma mecha's skeleton was still radiating immense, sky-high heat, Lin Chen's modified projectiles were unaffected, striking it dead on. In an instant, the missile, packed with terrifying energy, detonates. The resulting shockwave even reached the houses at the southern tip of the peninsula. If it were not for the locals in the livestream chat, they would have thought some kind of giant beast was invading their precious land. Long, Team Long, that is way too powerful. The squad leader watching from afar gulped, unable to help but praise Long, while Long said nothing, just gave a slight nod. Witnessing such terrifying destructive force made him want to scout him even more. Inside the livestream, because of that explosion, a swarm of local keyboard warriors flooded in and started their keyboard warrior mode. Aish, can you washa guys keep it down when you are fighting? Don't you know we are trying to take a nap? As for this keyboard warrior, every story needs evidence. What makes you think it was us? Seriously, what if your buildings were just built poorly? Or maybe it was just a tectonic plate shift causing an earthquake. Besides, look here, the netizens on the peninsula closer to the battlefield haven't said a thing. Why are you getting so worked up? Aish, seriously, do you take us for rubes? Can't the peninsula just burn to the ground already? It is so joyful. Oh no, how tragic. Back to the ocean. Following Lin Chen's full-throttle artillery barrage, the lava mecha beast was not just unharmed, it actually became even more active, almost as if his missiles became its fuel. Seeing this, Lin Chen could not help but frown. He finally understood why his probability of victory was only 40%. This trait is way too bugged. Since that is the case, I will have to use this. Lin Chen disengaged full throttle mode, diverting all energy to his chest. A moment later, at the position on its chest, the machinery shifted and painstakingly rearranged into a metallic giant core glowing with blue light. Just looking at it, one could feel the infinite energy. Its name is Amsterdam High-Level Plasma Cannon. Plasma Cannon. The name says it all. It does not use ordinary gunpowder shells, but uses the plasma energy generated within its Ba-Tian-0 energy core as the base. It can generate overwhelming energy and destructive power. It is so powerful that it could pierce through an entire mountain. So you can imagine how terrifying this thing is. Die. As the light on Lin Chen's chest grew brighter, a beam of energy, not unlike a Kamehameha, shot out. targeting the head of the lava mecha beast. As if it sensed the powerful plasma energy contained within the beam, the lava mecha beast suddenly changed its form. It quickly ducked, retracting its head like a turtle inside the armor plating of its body. The plasma beam struck perfectly against its tough, high-temperature resistant shell. At the moment of impact, the sky-piercing plasma energy was actually absorbed by that solid mechanical shell. But this was already in Lin Chen's plan, because he had already analyzed the way to crack its defense. It only requires increasing the energy supply, saturating its energy shield to the breaking point. Then it can be shattered from within. This is the only way. So, without a moment of hesitation, he poured 90% of his energy directly into the chest's plasma cannon. This is the maximum load he can handle. Any more than that, and the remaining energy would not support his own operations. Moreover, he did not know if all this power was poured in, whether it could truly break its defense. This, in fact, was also a high-stakes gamble. But fortunately, the scales of victory were tilting in his favor. As he continuously funneled energy from afar, the magma beast's shrinking shell gradually started to show white cracks. This phenomenon also brought a flicker of hope back to the deathly silent livestream. Look, the magma beast's exterior actually has cracks. This method is working. You have to hold on. Everyone in the chat room is praying. If this massive machine, hundreds of meters tall, can't stop this monster, what else could? When that happens, it is only a matter of time before it tramples over Shen Sha's territory. Inside the Eastern Coastal Command Center, Long, having returned, stared intently at the screen. The squad leader was watching the stream with him. Team leader Long, can he win? Yes, if it is him, absolutely, Long asserted, his eyes filled with confidence. He was certain Lin Chen could definitely do it. Besides, he believed Lin Chen had to succeed. After all, this is being broadcast globally. The world needs a savior, and it must come from our Shen Sha, and it must be the Lin Chen who is fighting right now. This way, even if Lin Chen does not agree to join our alliance later, he could still provide some comfort to people worldwide. Therefore, Lin Chen must win. On the other side, Lin Chen did not know he had already been morally coerced into being the world's savior, but continued to pour in his energy. Without exaggerating, the beam of energy released through his plasma cannon was like an anchor of stability, both long and thick. The collision between the energy and the shield created intense tremors, triggering crustal compression and collisions nearby. It caused frequent earthquakes in surrounding nations, with the strongest tremors hitting the Korean peninsula. Almost the entire southern part of the island felt a magnitude 6 or 7 quake. This forced some Korean netizens to lash out again, spewing curses at everything. But ultimately, they were roasted by a Shen Sha keyboard warrior, getting their ancestors insulted for 18 generations. They were so mad they even smashed their phones. It was total anarchy in the chat room. Meanwhile, the battle outside reached a fever pitch. As Lin Chen kept pumping in energy, the entire plasma beam bloated to its extreme limit. This meant the magma beast's shell started to break down under the pressure. Its chassis just could not handle that much energy intake, leaking outward, white patterns spreading more and more. This went on for about a minute, with one deafening blast from the lava mecha beast. Its outer metallic armor shattered on cue. Metal fragments rained down into the ocean. As the exoskeleton stripped away, it exposed the intricate circuitry inside. You could even see its energy core pulsing. The energy core was massive, literally as big as a head, and the energy it emitted was way beyond level 7S. But that right there is definitely its weakest point. Yet that lava mecha beast seemed to sense its vulnerability exposed. It clawed its way up out of the water, standing tall again. Ignoring the rain, it charged straight at Lin Chen. But Lin Chen was running low on energy now. A close quarters brawl. Too risky. Of course, this was all part of the plan. Shen Ying, Tian Qi, Lin Chen summoned 2 Unit 1 mechas. They managed to pin down the lava mecha beast. It had lost its plating, but its speed had increased because of it. In a heartbeat, it shot down Tian Qi and Yuan Long from the air. Only Shen Ying Unit 1 was left. Shen Ying was speed-type mecha to begin with, though the combat power was decent enough. Against this gargantuan monstrosity, it really did not stand a chance. Even its missiles hit the lava mecha's core, and it did not even flinch. Now, the lava mecha beast had only one target. Take out the biggest threat, Lin Chen. Watching the mecha lumber slowly toward him, Lin Chen did not run away. Instead, he stood motionless in the water. He even sat down in a cross-legged meditative pose. Needless to say, this was also part of the plan. What is going on? Is he trying to meditate on the battlefield? Who knows? I thought people fighting, or even dance-offs, were already weird enough, but I never thought a mecha fight would end with him just sitting down. Wait, no. Mechas can cultivate now? Mecha martial arts. Is he becoming a cyber immortal or something? Since the stream viewers do not get what is happening, the simple-minded lava mecha beast certainly would not know either. So, not only did it not run away, it just kept advancing, determined to give Lin Chen a smackdown. But just as the lava beast reached a few meters from Lin Chen, it suddenly sank involuntarily, as if something grabbed it from below. This situation drove the beast crazy, sinking deeper and deeper. After struggling for a while, the lava mecha beast was still stuck deep in the water, unable to pull itself free. Then, from the water beneath the monster, a massive steel titan surfaced. It was Yuan Long. The prototype of Yuan Long was a nuclear-powered submarine. So after cyber evolution, underwater combat became its greatest strength, just like the Tianqi and Shenying that Lin Chen summoned. It was all to bait Abyss Dragon number 1. Catching the lava mecha behemoth's attention. The moment it let its guard down, he laid a trap in the sea, hampering its movements. Provisional Command Center. So that is it. That was his plan. Long stared at the screen, his tensed expression finally relaxing. He knew this battle was Lin Chen's to win. This only solidified his resolve to recruit him. Without its mobility and defenses, the lava mecha behemoth was a sitting duck at his mercy, and Lin Chen, that absolute monster, had ceased sitting cross-legged. He stood his massive hundreds of meters tall mechanical body up, striding step by step toward the trapped behemoth. Then, without a hint of mercy, he slammed a titanic metallic fist into its skull. Despite its incredibly reinforced armor, the behemoth's head was dented inward with a massive crater. It let out a heaven-shaking roar. Lin Chen followed with another punch. 2. 3. The collision of massive mechs produced ear-splitting shrieks of grinding metal, sending sparks flying everywhere. Under such a brutal onslaught, even as tough as it was, the lava mecha behemoth could not resist. Its survival instinct kicked in hard. It knew it was outmatched, and now it wanted to run. But how could Lin Chen let it leave? He gripped its head with his left hand, raised his mechanical right arm high, and poured every last bit of energy into the blow. The punch pierced clean through its skull, seizing its energy core. With a savage pull, amidst flashes of fire and flying metal shards, the energy core was ripped out by Lin Chen, and stripped of that core, the lava mecha behemoth let out one final sound, lost consciousness, and collapsed into a pile of scrap metal. The sight of it left every viewer in the live stream stunned. He actually just ripped out the monster's energy core just like that. Holy crap, that is so badass. Forget everything else. That kind of raw punch to the flesh power. I am genuinely in love. Shensha Group Chairman's office. Chen Long had also been watching the entire fight between Lin Chen and the lava mecha behemoth. Seeing Lin Chen just rip the core out in one hit, he could not help but tremble. You have to realize these cyber mutant beasts, their outer shells, are not just simple human-made metal. They are made of an unknown exotic metallic alloy. Their hardness makes the strongest man-made steel look like paper by comparison. And looking at that behemoth's shell, it was absolutely tougher than standard mutant beast alloys. Yet even so, Lin Chen punched straight through it. Imagine just how terrifying his strength is. Seeing this, Chen Long's first thought was not about recruitment, but relief. A weight lifted off his chest. After all, he had promised his good brother he would look after Lin Chen. You could say that. Long is a totally respectable brother and senior. The sea surface was eerily calm after the battle. Lin Chen had just extracted the core from the magma mecha beast. A long-awaited voice echoed in his mind. Ding. S+ grade energy core detected. Mecha upgrade system ready. Initiate mecha upgrade. Estimated upgrade time, 24 hours. During the upgrade, auto defense mode will be activated. Drones will be deployed to provide full-scale protection. Should you face a life-threatening situation, emergency survival mode will trigger. It will initiate indiscriminate punishment on the entire world until all life is eradicated. Once the upgrade is complete, all damage will be repaired and your energy fully restored. Initiate mecha upgrade. Listening to this list of perks, it would be harder to say no. He nodded. Yes, start the upgrade. He had originally planned to find a safe sea area for the upgrade, but Washa's waters are the safest place. Plus, it has top-tier automatic defense systems. No one has a death wish, right? Confirmed. Upgrade mode activated. As the system prompt faded, the mecha switched to autopilot. Lin Chen was ejected from a metal pod and drifted slowly toward the Washa shoreline. About 2 minutes later, Lin Chen reached the coast. Long and his officials watched him with blank stares. They were absolutely stunned. Lin Chen could actually detach from the mecha. Everyone knew that these common cyber forms are always fused with their mechas. It is impossible for both human and machine to exist separately. But they did not dare ask. After all, Lin Chen operated so many machines. He would already given them way too many surprises. When you think about it, maybe it is no big deal. So when Lin Chen stepped out, the crowd swarmed him. The live-streaming drones followed closely behind. Long stepped forward warmly and extended his hand to introduce himself. Greetings, Mr. Lin, I am the strategic representative for the World Cyber Alliance, Huasha Division. Long, welcome back. Long flashed a polite cryptic smile, acting as if he were very familiar with Lin Chen. Lin Chen ignored him, and glanced at the drone hovering in the sky. He pointed at it and asked. Long answered immediately. That is our live broadcast drone. Your incredible battle has just been recorded and uploaded to the net. The live stream. Lin Chen raised an eyebrow. No wonder he felt like he was being watched. He quickly waved his hand. The fight is over. Turn this thing off. Long caught on immediately. He ordered his subordinates to pull all drones back and turned off the broadcast. He knew, the stronger you are, the more low-key you should be. Even though the live broadcast was cut, the live chat was still active. Holy crap, what did I just see? This boss can actually separate from his mecha. That is so cool. Doesn't that mean he can see his own mecha? No kidding. I would kill to have an ability like that. And another thing, is not this guy Lin Chen from Shensha Group? He supposedly sold his whole company just to buy a massive aircraft carrier a few days ago. I thought he was just another playboy, wasting money. But looking at him now, I think we are the ones who are the joke. Never mind that. Does anyone know where Lin Chen lives? I am an 18-year-old schoolgirl. I have totally lost my heart to him. Stop obsessing. You are worth being loved. I am a total soft guy. What should I do? Soft guy indeed. Let us just listen at the door. In an instant, Lin Chen gained millions of online followers. Meanwhile, on several social platforms, Lin Chen dominated the top trending searches. The formerly grim, death-like atmosphere of the apocalypse instantly vanished. Lin Chen was truly, as Long had said, in this moment, the savior of the common people. Elsewhere, after the drones were withdrawn, Lin Chen addressed Long directly. My apologies, Mr. Long, I know what you are asking of me. However, I refuse. He knew that once he joined the state, all his movements and future plans would be under strict oversight. I am already invincible. Why should I be chained down? What is the point of that? This remark left Long looking a bit awkward for a moment, but Long had already anticipated this outcome. He knew that the strong always crave freedom from constraints, much like that hero did back then. Even though he was subjected to the world's ridicule and disdain, he remained steadfast in his ideals. Legendary throughout history, his deeds are still widely told today. This is the spirit of a true powerhouse. They never submit to anyone. So Long stopped pushing, and instead invited him as a personal favor. Mr. Lin, you have misunderstood me. I did have that intention before, but after seeing you in combat, I realized you are not one to be restrained. So I am only asking to invite you to attend our World Symposium meeting. We will provide you with maximum support. Don't worry. If you prefer not to attend, that is fine too. We will provide you with aid regardless. How does that sound? With Long putting it that way, Lin Chen found it hard to refuse. It is just attending a meeting, and in return, I get state resource support. Why would not I take that deal? So Lin Chen nodded. Fine. When does the meeting start? Long replied immediately. 8:00 p.m. Global Symposium, Wadu headquarters. Inside the familiar conference room, the strategic representatives had already gathered, all except for the organizer. This meeting was initiated by Long, and the main agenda concerned the aftermath of the giant mountain beast incident and emergency measures to handle such crises. Because Long has not arrived yet, the conference room is buzzing with chatter. Idiots. Look at this video. That giant mecha bear was snatched by this guy. So we are certain this man did it on purpose to sabotage us. He has clearly broken the rules. Full of resentment. To put it mildly, his homeland was wiped out by that very mecha bear. And that is not just about his home. The entire island is now in ruins, except for the local official mecha units. Other private cyber users have fled to various countries worldwide. This led to those previously suppressed mecha beasts storming into the residential areas, slaughtering unarmed civilians without mercy. This caused the already small island to shrink even further, with the population now only 1/10 of what it was. The only place that has not fallen yet is their capital city. That is why the deep-seated anger among the forces stationed in Sha has reached its breaking point. Although he hates Long for not deploying in time, his deepest venom is reserved for the mecha bear Lin Chen unleashed. He is attending this meeting just to interrogate Long, demanding an explanation. The representative for the Korean faction, Jin Yingjun, suddenly interjected. Mr. Sha, what is the point of saying all this now? Why did not you stop it back then? As the saying goes, this is just hindsight bias, is not it? Jin Yingjun, what do you mean by that? Jin Yingjun's words were like adding fuel to the fire, pushing Sha to the brink of fury. He was already reaching for the nanotech terminal on his arm to summon his mecha. Sir, have you forgotten where you are? Sati, sitting to the side, said coolly, with a faint smile on his face. Yes, Mr. Sati, I was being reckless. Sha bowed his head to apologize like a child scolded by a guardian, his expression apologetic, though he threw a fierce side-eye at Jin Yingjun. The Korean faction and the others are just like half-brothers who have never gotten along. They have always been at odds. If it were not for the Americans playing the guardian, they probably would have started a war by tonight. Of course, Sati was not speaking up for Sha. He was just afraid those two dim-wits would hurt them both in a fight. If a mess like that broke out, they would be down at least one puppet for later use. Naturally, he would not take sides with either of them. He turned to Jin Yingjun. And you, Mr. Jin, you should not be mocking Sha. You should know, the battle at noon also affected your side, did not it? Are you really going to mock your own kind? Sadie's point was crystal clear. He was blatantly sowing discord. Everyone else present saw right through it. But Jin Yingjun, upon hearing that, actually seemed to think it made sense. His expression turned sour instantly. Just then, the sound of the doorknob turning came from outside the meeting room. Oh, everyone is here quite early. The meeting room door was pushed open, and Long walked in, dressed in his uniform. A smile hung on his face, looking perfectly relaxed. Mr. Long, it is already 8:10. As the one who initiated this meeting, don't you think you are being a bit disrespectful to us? Come out. Right from the start, that pathetic guy started running his mouth with snide, passive-aggressive remarks. Vent his frustrations just like that. Yet Long did not bother to bicker back. He spoke straight and cold. My apologies, everyone. I just had to pick up someone very important, so I am a bit late. Picking someone up, that is your excuse for being late. Jin Yingjun asked with obvious dissatisfaction. However, Long did not respond. Instead, a voice echoed from outside the door. Could it be you could not wait a few extra minutes? As soon as the words fell, Lin Chen walked in from the door. Then he locked his gaze on the questioning Jin Yingjun. Seeing the face of the newcomer, Jin Yingjun swallowed his words back into his throat. It was not just Jin Yingjun. Every national representative present suddenly blanked out. Lin Chen, the person Long invited, was actually Lin Chen. Seeing Jin Yingjun dare not make a move, Lin Chen asked again, "This gentleman, do you have any objections? Or perhaps, you do not welcome me?" Jin Yingjun was stunned. Objections. Right, he did have objections. But he had witnessed today's battle from start to finish. The size of Lin Chen's mecha was absolutely not something he could contend with, especially those guys from his country. Their nation's strongest transformer was nothing but a flashy, outdated tank. Its combat power was at most an A-grade beast mecha. No match for Lin Chen at all. If it were not for the troops stationed there, they probably would have been wiped out long ago. So how could he dare to have objections? I do not dare. Of course you are welcome, Mr. Lin, whenever you want to come, that is when you come. This is the law of the jungle. The weak are always going to get stepped on. Whatever the strong do is considered right. In this apocalypse, even more so. Lin Chen had no need to be polite with these weaklings. So Jin Yingjun had to swallow his anger and stay silent. Good that you have no objections. Lin Chen nodded, walked to the conference table, and took a seat at random. Long hurriedly gestured toward the head seat. Mr. Lin, your seat is here. Lin Chen took a glance and waved his hand. Long, I am not the one chairing this meeting. Why would I take the main seat? Just say what you need to say. He was just here to show his presence, to hold the stage down. Otherwise, with the stir he caused today, no telling if some people would try to stir up trouble. Long nodded and did not say anything more. The meeting commenced as Long took his seat. Since it was a meeting called to address the damages caused by the S-grade magma mecha beast, the representatives suffering the most losses, of course, raised their concerns first. Long, you should be clear about the appearance of that monster. The population is plummeting. Our land is collapsing. So many people are displaced. I have heard that your infrastructure is well developed. So I was hoping to ask if you could help us out. Inoue was actually planning to propose sanctions against Lin Chen, but Lin Chen is right here. If he were to speak up, would not that just be embarrassing for himself? Facing Inoue's request, Long just spread his hands. I am really sorry, Mr. Inoue, your proposal. I think we need to hold off and observe internally for now. After all, we have our own reconstruction to focus on. His message was crystal clear. Not helping. Definitely not helping. Inoue was getting restless. Mr. Long, you. But before he could finish, Lin Chen, who had been playing with his phone, suddenly spoke up. Team leader Long, helping those in need. Is that not our principle? When Long heard this, even though he was surprised, he nodded immediately. That is indeed our principle. Inoue was equally shocked. This kid from Shensha is actually speaking up for them. Are they long-lost friends or something? But Lin Chen continued. However, our support policy only applies to our allies. If you are not our ally, I am afraid you won't be getting any aid. Mr. Inoue. Lin Chen looked at Inoue with a playful glint in his eyes. He had known from a young age what is meant by shame and what is meant by honor. In his philosophy, helping an enemy after being betrayed is nothing but humiliation. Inoue knew exactly what he meant. It was a direct hit to his composure. He slammed the table and stood up. Lin Chen, Ba Tian 0, don't you dare push me too far. At that moment Jones also stood up, glaring at Lin Chen. If you people are going to be like this, holding grudges over petty things, then I think I would better withdraw from this world alliance. Jones had been looking for an excuse to leave this organization anyway. His desire to be the top dog was deeply ingrained. If an organization is not under his control, then he sees no point in staying. Besides, he thought this threat against Long would make them change their attitude. But Long just smiled and pointed to the door. Be my guest. This made Jones clench his fists, his expression laced with displeasure. Since the harsh words were already out, if he did not walk out now, would not he lose all face? Fine, Mr. Long, remember the decision you have made today. You will regret this. After dropping that parting shot, Jones walked out of the conference room without looking back. Several allies of the beautiful country began to leave the scene one after another. This included Inoue and the others as well. Inoue, in particular, was waiting to see how Lin Chen would handle this. As for those who remained, they were clearly the ones who genuinely wanted to build ties with them. Watching them leave, Lin Chen also stood up from his seat and patted Long on the shoulder. Long, we have already settled our deal. The rest is up to you to handle. And about the energy I requested. You see, Long smirked, pulling a card from his pocket and placing it into Lin Chen's hand. I have already notified the soldiers at the energy depot. Just take this card of mine and you are set. Lin Chen beamed, stowed the card away and nodded. Got it. Carry on with your work, Long. I am heading out. With that, Lin Chen turned and walked out of the conference room without looking back. And as Lin Chen left, the smile on Long's face instantly vanished, turning grim. He then turned to the others in the room and spoke. Everyone, in 4 days, an apocalyptic beast wave will be upon us. With Long's ID card in hand, Lin Chen arrived at the Wadu Energy Depot. He had bartered his hard-earned intel and his commitment to defend Shaw for the future, securing a hefty stash of energy. 1,000 tons might sound like a lot, but this depot stores hundreds of millions of tons of energy. It houses a third of Shaw's current energy reserves, covering an area roughly the size of a small country. Beyond domestic power supply, this place is specifically responsible for powering cyber mechs, providing the base energy for the soldiers. That is why it is under 24-hour constant surveillance, patrolled by rotating shifts of elite mech soldiers. Not even a fly could slip through. Greetings, Mr. Lin Chen, please show your credentials. The soldiers guarding the energy depot, upon seeing Lin Chen approach, blocked his path with their massive frames. These two mech soldiers were clad in standard-issue humanoid armor, covered from head to toe in reinforced steel plating, and carrying high-caliber laser weapons. They were converted from military-grade heavy mechs, resembling oversized industrial excavators. They towered over Lin Chen, although the two mech soldiers had seen the morning broadcast, and were clearly impressed by Lin Chen's power. Without a security pass, they still had to stop him. After all, discipline is iron. Understood. Lin Chen nodded, took out the ID card Long gave him, and held it high above his head. One of the mech soldiers inspected it carefully, then nodded to his partner. The two then stepped aside to clear a path. Immediately, the massive steel gates behind them, dozens of meters tall, slowly swung open. Mr. Lin Chen, once you step inside, someone will be there to meet you. Right, thanks. Lin Chen gave a quick nod and strode into the energy depot. The interior of the depot was incredibly vast, with a ceiling height of over 50 meters. The building was fortified with high-tech mechanical shells, durable enough to withstand a nuclear strike. The first thing that caught his eye was the rows of perfectly organized square zones. Each zone held crates of energy blocks. Along the aisles between sectors, many forklifts could be seen carefully transporting energy, along with various automated vehicles, methodically moving core after core. These energy cores were gathered over the past few days from the city, harvested from cyber beasts taken down by cyber users. By the time those beasts were slaughtered, and the energy cores were exchanged for supplies, they are transported here by official energy core carriers after long, tedious processing, eventually becoming these energy bricks piled out there. Under current conditions, we can produce about 2,000 tons daily, trading half a day's output for Lin Chen's peace of mind. I would call that a damn good deal. Just as Lin Chen stepped inside, a man in his 30s wearing a white lab coat greeted him with a smile. Mr. Lin Chen, I have been waiting for you. My name is Zhang Shan, the warehouse manager here. Just call me Old Zhang. Dragon requested that we prepare that 1,000 tons, and the pure mechanical energy has already been isolated. Please follow me. Sure, thanks Old Zhang. Sorry for the trouble. Lin Chen did not stand on ceremony, following Zhang Shan to one of the 7 energy storage sectors. Each area is 400 by 20, though the energy looks exposed. Actually, around the exterior, there is a layer of Shensha-grade hardened glass. This glass is made by blending mechanical carcasses from those cyber beasts. According to a secret Shensha formula, it is so tough that even machine gunfire can't scratch it. That way, even if an issue crops up in one sector or an energy explosion occurs, we can detect and handle it in time, minimizing any large-scale damage. Besides this protective glass, every entrance is guarded by at least 2 B-rank mecha soldiers. There is 0 chance of any theft. Arriving at the entrance, Zhang Shan performed a retina scan, and the 15-meter-high and 20-meter wide glass blast doors slowly opened. Mr. Lin Chen, inside is your 1,000 tons of energy. Our transport fleet will arrive shortly. Please wait a moment. We will haul it to your carrier site. This was specifically requested by Dragon. Even though Lin Chen is a native of Shensha, they absolutely should not make unlimited demands of him, especially in these apocalyptic times. In the apocalypse, fair trade is the only logical path. No need to wait. I have my own transport mecha. Lin Chen remarked casually. Is it outside the energy bay? How come the guards did not mention it? Zhang Shan was puzzled. 1,000 tons of energy would require at least 10 heavy trucks to transport. And even though Lin Chen's mecha seems capable enough, it is said his setup is quite unique. It is currently docked in the Eastern Sea region. In that case, what is he going to use to move all this energy? Don't tell me he is going to conjure a mecha out of thin air. Mr. Lin Chen, you. Before he could finish saying, don't joke around, Lin Chen's move left him jaw drop. He simply tapped the nano interface on his right forearm a few times, and instantly, right in the open area of the facility, a mecha the size of a car materialized out of thin air. Holy hell, that was Zhang Shan's first reaction. How the hell did he just pull that thing out of nowhere? Before he could recover from the shock, another one followed. 2, 3, until the 30th one appeared. Holy crap, this time, even the 2 mech guards on duty could not help but emit a deep metallic grinding sound. Damn it. Popping one out of thin air is already absurd enough, but 30 of them at once, and they are all C-tier mechanical beasts too. Are you pulling some kind of magic trick? Zhang Shan, can I go in and take the energy cores now? Lin Chen called out to the stunned Zhang Shan. Zhang Shan snapped back to reality, wiping the sweat from his forehead with his sleeve, nodding repeatedly. Yes, of course. Right this way, please. Once he finished speaking, he cleared a path. These mechs, under Lin Chen's command, began to enter one by one. Then they hauled out 2 energy cores at a time. 2 cores weigh probably over 30 tons. So 30 mech units were just the right amount to move these cores. Once all the mechs had transported the 1,000 tons of energy cores away, Lin Chen said goodbye to Zhang Shan and left the energy bunker, his final destination, the eastern coastline, where Ba Tian 0 was docked. The purpose of these energy cores was to repair the Thunderbolt and the Tianqi Unit 1. He had to be fully prepared before the mechanical beast tide arrived. Meanwhile, the Global Alliance Summit in Wadu had just concluded, jointly establishing a temporary contingency plan for the beast tide. The plan has 3 main points. Point 1. Divide Huaxia into 3 major regions, East, Central, and South. Gather everyone and build steel ramparts in the peripheral areas, designed to repel the mechanical beast tide. Point 2. Within 2 days, evacuate all citizens of Huaxia's affiliated nations into these 3 major regions, constructing air raid shelters capable of holding everyone. Also, ensure that enough food and clean water for 1 month of survival is stocked. Point 3. Aside from Huaxia, destroy all other nuclear-armed countries to prevent mutant beasts from attacking nuclear assets and causing irreversible damage to the planet. This plan is called the Humanities Kindle Plan. Warm reminder, the upcoming plot will be a real brain burner. If you do not get it, go take a breather and think it over. Under 16s must watch with parental guidance. For university students, just give up on thinking entirely. At 11:00 p.m., Lin Chen's mech squad, carrying 1,000 tons of energy, returned to the beach near Ba Tian 0. Surrounding Ba Tian 0 at this moment were small engineering mechs from the upgrade system. They were working non-stop, pulling scraps of shattered lava giant mechs from the water. Then, using their specialized tools, they began reprocessing these metal fragments and attaching them to Ba Tian Ba-Tien-0 using a unique process. Rather than calling it attaching, it was more like fusion, because the moment the metal fragments merged with Ba-Tien-0, its external appearance began to change, transforming from its originally smooth metal shell. The armor began filling with intricate red quantum circuitry, and to Lin Chen's surprise, this circuitry flowed like molten lava, pulsing just like a human heartbeat. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of the upgrade. One can only imagine how terrifying it will be when it fully upgrades to level 3. Although he was itching to test Ba-Tien-0's performance now, the mecha was still in the middle of upgrading. It would likely take about 13 hours to complete. Besides, he had more pressing matters to attend to. Today is March 10th. On the morning of the 14th, the cyber beasts are bound to go on a rampage for some reason, triggering a massive beast tide. By then, the swarming cyber beasts will overwhelm and attack the city. Iron walls alone won't be enough to stop them. So, within these next 4 days, he must use the power generated by his Ba-Tien-0 mecha to assemble a personal army of cyber beasts, and he had to start right now. He calculated the number of mechas currently at his disposal, roughly 70 C-class mecha shrimps, along with 100 C-class mecha crabs, and 1 B-class giant mecha crab. With a force of these cyber beasts, plus Yulong No. 1 and Shen Ying No. 1, this lineup could even go toe-to-toe with an average S-class target. As for the damaged Thunderlord and Tianqi No. 1, their repairs still need for the Ba-Tien-0 upgrade to wrap up before the mecha hangars can be used. So, Lin Chen had no choice but to temporarily dump 1,000 tons of energy resources on the beach. Then he started brainstorming. How could he, in such a short amount of time, gather enough energy cores? In other words, how could he find the largest concentration of cyber beasts? But ever since the March 7th cyber crisis hit, all the cyber beasts within the city had been hunted down by the cyber hunters. On top of that, the World Cyber Alliance had put a bounty on energy cores. Every single core could be traded for food, water, or any other supplies. So, driven by profit, the hunters in the city obviously would not let a single cyber beast escape. They were cleaning them out faster than you could blink. Under these conditions, the sentient cyber beasts would naturally be hiding in the shadows. Some had even retreated deep into the mountains. So in the mountains, one could still hear all sorts of noises. Lin Chen had initially thought about heading to the nearby mountain range to hunt beasts and loot their cores, but his current army of cyber beasts consisted entirely of aquatic specialists. Wait a minute. The water. Lin Chen mused. He looked back at the ocean where Ba-Tien-0 stood tall. If you ask where in this world the creatures are most abundant, it has to be the ocean, right? The ocean covers, after all, 70% of the planet's surface. Life in the ocean is even more strange and varied. A single school of fish could number in the thousands or tens of thousands. And most importantly, there are countless giant creatures in the deep. If his luck holds, he might even make an unexpected haul. It seems, I am really tied to the ocean, after all. Lin Chen could not help but smile bitterly. He had been fighting in the sea since day one. He finally made it to land, but with the mecha upgrade, he just ended up right back where he started, in the sea. That works too. Perfect time to test the Abyss Dragon 01. But before setting sail, I have got to ensure there is zero margin for error. Xing Chen, set the Godhawk 01 to highest alert status. While I am out at sea, any biological threats approaching the energy source or Ba-Tien-0, you are authorized to neutralize them immediately. Oh right, keep that B-rank mecha giant crab behind as well. Lin Chen ultimately decided to leave the Godhawk 01 and the mecha giant crab on the shore. After all, the Godhawk 01 is an air superiority mecha. It would be as useless as a house cat underwater. Completely ineffective. Better to just let it stay here, guarding the upgrades for Ba-Tien-0 and these energy supplies. That will also give me one less thing to worry about. As for the mecha giant crab, its original form was just a crab. Having this river crab run into the ocean does not seem quite right. Might as well leave it behind too. Acknowledged. Orders received. As Xing Chen acknowledged, the Godhawk 01 took off abruptly, leaping into the sky, before vanishing from sight. This is the Godhawk 01's unique stealth system. By adjusting the atmospheric temperature and humidity, it adapts to its surroundings like a chameleon, cloaking itself from view. With the order issued, Lin Chen could finally set off to sea with peace of mind. This time, he decided to head out in person. After all, an autonomous mecha lacks human ingenuity and situational awareness, let alone the ability to process nuanced decisions. Besides, he was eager to get a feel for the Abyss Dragon 01. No sooner said than done. Lin Chen did not hesitate. He tapped a few commands on his arm-mounted nano platform. As a sound chimed, his body slowly began to reconfigure into the mecha. Quantum ripples surrounded him. Gradually, his vision started to blur. A moment later, his vision cleared again. but his vantage point was now 100 times higher. His flesh had been replaced by the mecha. He was now the Abyss Dragon 01. Lin Chen casually moved his limbs, and was immediately pleasantly surprised. The compatibility of the Abyss Dragon 01 was even higher than the Ba Tian 0. He could perform extremely delicate movements, even extending a single finger while curling the others. It felt just like his own body. After getting familiar with the mecha once more, Lin Chen did not have a shred of hesitation. He plunged straight into the depths of the ocean, until the seawater completely swallowed his frame. Lin Chen activated the warp engine, venturing deeper into the deep sea zone. Those underwater mecha and giant crabs all lined up in perfect formation, following closely behind him. Meanwhile, at a building in the suburbs, several armed mecha warriors stood guard, but these warriors looked a bit savage. Rather than warriors, they looked more like mutant beasts. Inside the building, there were simply 2 sofas and a table. 2 familiar figures sat on the sofa, talking about something. Is that for real? Indeed, Zhongshan. Our warriors on that side are all using this. As long as you take this modified, feed these energy cores to ordinary people, and they can transform into invincible mecha warriors, even stronger than those top-tier cyber fighters. He toyed with the energy core in his hand, staring at Jingsha with a charming, wicked grin. The energy core in his palm was nothing like those typically extracted from mutated beasts. It pulsed with an ominous, soul-devouring light, reeking of impending death, chilling you just by catching a glimpse of it. Jingsha stared at the object before him, hesitating. What is wrong, Mr. Jingsha? If you do not want your home to perish, this is your best choice. Besides, although it looks frightening, once you truly experience its power, you will realize just how precious it is. If you are lucky enough, you might even be able to take down an A-class cyber beast. Jingsha was truly tempted upon hearing this, regardless of the side effects. Just from what he had seen moments ago, the power of those mutated mecha warriors was already standard A-class cyber fighter level. An A-class fighter, within the Global Cyber Alliance, is considered the absolute pinnacle of power, and yet this man uses them as mere bodyguards. This is pure, unadulterated luxury. He finally understood why things had blown up in public. Seeing that Jingsha was wavering, he continued his pitch. Mr. Jingsha, if you do not take it now, once your Tokyo falls, all the regrets in the world won't save you. He was not lying. As it stands, Tokyo is barely clinging to life. Everyone in Japan is huddled in that one spot. Once the official defense collapses, nothing awaits them but total annihilation. And there, he still has his own parents, wife, and daughter. So this savior, it must be him. It can only be him. Fine. He no longer hesitated. Taking a deep breath, he accepted the energy core. That is how it is done. As if he had prepared for this, he pulled a box out from under the table, and upon opening it, it was filled to the brim with identical energy cores. In the eastern waters of Shen Sha, the deep sea zone, 500 meters below the surface, Lin Chen, currently in the form of Abyss Dragon 1, was engaged in a fierce battle with a giant mechanical beast. This mechanical beast was shaped like a fish, about 30 meters in length, its body covered in sturdy streamlined scales, with a ferocious glare. Its mouth was packed with razor-sharp metallic fangs, each tooth as massive as a car tire. A towering dorsal fin stood tall upon its back, and its razor-like tail thrashed violently, as if it would tear the Abyss Dragon 1 to shreds in the next second. According to Xing Chen's analysis, this is a pseudo-A-class shark-type cyber beast. A pseudo-A-class means it is above B-class, but below A-class, it is infinitely close to a class, yet has not quite reached that threshold. However, this is only a juvenile tiger shark, likely just hatched from its egg, which is why it is attacking everything it sees. Even a target like Abyss Dragon, one that is many times its size. I guess newborn calves are not afraid of tigers, right? Don't underestimate this thing, just because it is an A grade. Its offensive capabilities are truly vicious. It was locked onto the Ba Tian Zero's vulnerable mechanical joints. However, this is the Ba Tian Zero. A Ba Tian Zero evolved from a strategic nuclear submarine. This level of attack, for a Ba Tian Zero with its heavy armor, is like a crane lifting a feather. Not even worth mentioning. After trying to attack a few times, the mechanical shark realized it was not a match, and immediately turned to flee. But Lin Chen would not let it off that easily. He engaged the Ba Tian Zero's vortex engines, rushed in at extreme speed, and used the Ba Tian Zero's massive frame to ram it over. Then he grabbed its sturdy dorsal fin and ripped it off. In that instant, the mechanical shark let out a pained cry, instantly losing its balance. But survival instinct kept it, flailing its remaining fins in this state. Seeing this, Lin Chen felt no pity. He lined up a punch at its head and smashed it down. A moment later, its energy core was ripped out by Lin Chen. After one last roar, its body stopped moving. Once resolved, he stored the energy core in the Ba Tian storage bay. As for the carcass, he left it to his mechanical crabs to process. The mechanical crabs have a unique body structure, with 2-meter-long giant pincers that can easily tear apart an A-grade beast structure. And beneath them, they have a 3x3 storage compartment, perfect for salvaging these mechanical parts. So it won't be long before they dismantle the entire mechanical shark. You could say this is a clean sweep of the cleanup crew. Task completed. Lin Chen continued to dive. Since the Ba Tian 0 was originally a submarine, it could dive to 1,000 meters before the cyber evolution. So even now, with these upgrades, 2,000 meters is no problem. The deep sea is pitch black, getting darker the further down you go. But luckily, the Ba Tian 0 comes with built-in deep sea night vision. This allows Lin Chen to easily see the ocean floor. The deep ocean floor, apart from being pitch black, is also dead silent. At 2,000 meters, it is terrifyingly quiet, except for the occasional, bizarre mechanical fish. There is nothing else here. However, Lin Chen's intuition tells him that the quieter the place, the more treasure there is. Sure enough, just as he landed at the 2,000-meter mark, on the continental shelf, a bottomless, massive, abyssal rift blocked his path. The rift is about 1,000 meters across, and unfathomably deep. Just looking at it, it is like a black hole, sending shivers down Lin Chen's spine. It is a good thing he does not have thalassophobia. Otherwise he would have fainted on the spot. Xing Chen, scan the situation inside the rift. Given this situation, Lin Chen would not dare to dive any further blindly. He must let Xing Chen scout with sonar first, to check the depth of the rift and any life forms. Received. Xing Chen responded. Then, from the tip of the abyss, Dragon 1's ultrasonic terminals emit sound waves, bouncing off as they collide with various substances, mapping out the terrain of the rift. About 3 minutes later, Xing Chen reports no results, but instead sends out a warning. Warning, ultrasonic detection waves bouncing back, blocked by some strange force. Unable to receive audio feedback. Analysis results unavailable. Analysis failed. Lin Chen freezes for a moment. Even you can't detect it. It is the first time he has seen an AI stumped. Looking a bit discouraged, Xing Chen offers a second solution. Master, most organisms can distort sound wave patterns, and with the complex medium of seawater, ultrasonic detection is not always accurate. So this is a normal phenomenon. I have already accessed my database to compute the most effective reconnaissance method. What method? Sir, let us use quantum control to plant a nano device into a crab mecha, and then send it into the rift. That way, you will be able to share its vision and judge the situation inside the canyon. Visual sharing. We can even do that. Sir, your human technology has mastered this long ago, like using common devices such as mobile phones and drone cameras. Well, indeed, this answer left Lin Chen with nothing to argue. Isn't that just strapping a camera to a crab? Fine, proceed with the operation. Lin Chen did not waste any more words, letting Xing Chen start her show. Acknowledged. Command transmitted. Signals received by one of the deployed mechas. The crab mecha breaks formation from the swarm, leaping straight into the deep sea. At the same time, in front of Lin Chen, a glowing screen emerges with a faint light. It is broadcasting from the crab's perspective as it starts its descent. The surrounding environment is no different from above. However, as it dives deeper, larger red algae and coral reefs gradually appeared. But still, no other deep-sea creatures were in sight. This made Lin Chen puzzled. It is less than 3,000 meters deep. It should not be that all creatures are extinct here, but the reality is just as such. Just as this crab was reaching a depth of 2,500 meters, still no other creatures were spotted. Besides the giant algae and coral, he had not encountered anything else. About 10 minutes later, the crab mecha easily reached the bottom of the rift. The depth readout locks in at 2,899 meters. Lin Chen had initially thought he could see something different at the bottom, but he ended up overthinking it. The very bottom was unremarkable, no different from what was above. So he could only command the crab mecha to move forward along the bottom of the rift. This actually yielded a result. Just after the mecha passed a large area of coral reefs, suddenly, in a patch of green algae, a golden light appeared. Lin Chen was somewhat excited. This kind of light, he had only seen it on the magma mecha beast. But before the crab mecha could move forward, suddenly a shrill noise echoed. The screen's POV began to shake violently. Then the display went dark. Connection with the mecha crab was lost. What just happened? Staring at the now dead screen, Lin Chen's heart skipped a beat. After all, this was a first-person feed. No matter how composed one might be, it is still a shock, especially deep down here in the abyss, sending chills down his spine.